that it's Freaky Friday again. And it means that it's time to get relaxed, to fill up that bowl, have a good and a good and just let your hair down for 3 hours on fun-filled woo that you will find no other place in the entire world.
I'm offended because you said let your hair down, and I am lacking of hair. So
no, but you know, there is such a thing as quantum hair.
Ah, okay.
Yes,
It's even more disturbing though is that Scott isn't just lacking hair tonight.
Yeah,
he's lacking clothes.
Yeah, see the problem of that's why we can't have him his video feed tonight, because he is playing a dual role tonight. He's playing Adam as well. So yes.
I'm just living the role of Patrick to the full.
Or Patrick to the fullest extent. I like it.
Well,
I like it.
You know, Patrick only runs around with a pair of shorts on. He goes shirtless.
Okay.
You know, he lives the kind of the bohemian lifestyle, whatever, you know. So.
The bohemian life. Yes, I guess you could call it that.
Very bohemian indeed.
In a seafood type of way, yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. Yeah. So how are you guys doing? You know, I haven't talked to you in about 15 minutes.
I'm doing really well, dude. I'm doing really well, man. Looking forward to the Freaky Friday. And yeah, we're just it's a first this week because we are simulcasting.
Yes.
It's not been publicized because obviously I'm in Facebook jail. Yes, I've been waiting ages to get
it's okay, you know.
It's just it's a kind of a dry run, you know. Obviously, we've got the chat room at tfrlive.com/chat. That's the Wookiee Cave. You can head out over there. And also, you know, we'll probably have some of the YouTube members and people turning up on the stream here as well. So you like this, guys. I thought we'll give it an extra dimension. Okay.
Oh, I like extra dimensions. How many are we talking here?
Well, just the one, obviously. It's YouTube so far. But we could press the button and maybe go to D Live in 3 dimensions. Or will we take it to the 4th, 5th, and more?
Ooh. See, that all depends on, you know, the resources it takes to do that. And would you be sharing resources from other dimensions or using those resources in order to tunnel through to other resources?
I've got my tunneling kit under the desk here, Joe.
Oh my!
You see, that's what happens when I put my camera off. People think, you know, I'm taking a fly, you know, take a pipe or getting some cannabis in me, but it's not really. I'm actually firing up the tunneling gear, you know.
Yes, of course. That is exactly what I thought too.
You see, we're on the same frequency too. That same vibe, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell you what, though, if anyone's got $10 million out there, me and Joe have got a yacht. What
we're thinking is, you know, we could make it like the Freaky Friday base of operations, if you will. Basically, a floating studio of freedom, and woo. By the way, and think about it, we could put like a telescope. Imagine what you can see out on the open sea with a gyroscopically stabilized telescope.
If this thing doesn't have a telescope already, I'd be very, very surprised. You're talking about a $10 million yacht that comes.
Is it 10 million pounds?
10 million. No, 10. Well, wait a minute. We'll get it right. 10 million pounds. So what's that, about 13, $14 million, something like that?
Right. Yeah.
Loose change, man.
Still, I would have thought that would have been much more than that.
Yeah, because
personally,
this is something that can go like pole to pole. It's got like
7,000 nautical mile range.
It's got the kind of bio lab that you would find in somewhere like Fort Detrick or Port.
Just in case you need, you know,
helicopter, quads, submersible, so you can go down in the sub as well.
Okay.
It's like, I mean, you can see it on the screen here just now. It's like something that every good James Bond bad guy or girl should have.
Hey, let me tell you this. If I had it like that, that would be one of the first things I would do. And even though it goes against the because I guess at that point, if you buy something like that, you're obviously not worried about money, but it gives you the flexibility of operating outside of sovereign nations, which to me is very appealing. And if, with the introduction of 5G on a global scale, you could even capitalize on that and have really good access to the internet and be able to do things like Freaky Friday, all from the open sea. Like I said, 7,000 nautical mile range, man. You can go out there for a while if you have enough stores. I would bet you that thing could probably go out to sea for a month at a time.
I'm sure if you dive into the article, it's something like 6 months, dude.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah. Plus, we've got Popeye.
Like I said, it depends on how you stock it out, but you're certainly not roughing it. That's for damn sure.
We've got Popeye. He can sail it. I mean, he's got experience. He's a veteran of the Coast Guard Wars.
Oh, gosh.
And then we've got Patrick. We've got Patrick as well.
Yeah, Patrick. Yeah, he could. The submersible, dude. What does he need that for? We'll just throw him in there. Tie a rope around him or something.
And if we ever run into trouble, I can call my friend who lives in a pineapple under the sea.
Exactly. Now, who would that?
Dude, come on, man. Don't tell me you know Bob personally. SpongeBob blue dress. Oh, wait a minute. I'm mixing that up with some other disturbing photograph I've seen this week.
What?
SpongeBob.
Are you talking about that?
Oh.
Are you talking about what I think you're talking about?
Oh, if it's that disturbing photograph, dude. Well, not photograph. Painting, shall we say. Painting.
Kev, I was...
Some things...
I sexually harassed by that painting. I was...
Some things you can't unsee, right?
Was offended in every single way, shape, or form. But at the same time, though, I have to say there's an entertainment value to it as well.
Oh, big time, dude.
Yeah.
It's gold. It truly is gold.
And knowing the history of all of that, are you really surprised?
No.
How many jaws dropped, do you think, when that picture was released to the press? Or the press released it to the public? How many jaws do you think hit the floor?
A good few, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, that had to be probably one of the most provocative, slant, disrespectful, slant, humorous, slant, shocking pictures that I'm thinking about baby boomers, and the elderly and all that kind of stuff. And they see that. It's probably not. It's probably, and it just. There's no level of. We haven't hit bottom yet. Apparently, I guess is what I'm trying to say. As far as bottoming out, I guess we have far to go, especially when it comes to. When it comes to the foulness and the debauchery that exists in the world, if you will. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was saying to you as well, Scott, wasn't I, about that TV show Billions, where I kind of got a glimpse at this craziness. And it's like the alumni of Wall Street. And I don't know if it's a real group, a real secret society or whatever it is. I would imagine it is, right? But what happens is you see one of them getting inducted, and that's his thing. He has to put on the blue dress, he puts on the lipstick, he's got the makeup on. I don't know. Could you
imagine if he actually posed for that? Like if it was for real pose?
Well, I was reading something today, and I think from the artist's point of view, it was a bit tongue-in-cheek because of the blue dress that somebody else had on in the Oval Office at one point. So whether that's right, I know you can only you don't know who to believe anymore in this reality show that we're in.
I mean, is that the spin that they're putting on it? Because if
Scott, it was just one article I read, dude, so it could be
So I'm saying it sounds kind of like a whitewash, because if Slick Willie was visiting that island on multiple occasions, such good friends,
chances are he did wear the blue dress.
such good friends with him, then why would he put such a disrespectful painting up in his house?
Because Billy probably donned the blue dress, and old Epstein probably gave it to him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like that's kind of like that was kind of like his dude, man. Yeah.
So they're using this whole thing of, oh well, you know, the artist was taking a pot shot and all of this stuff, and it was just this joke. No. You don't put pictures of your friends up like that in your house.
Like that. No, exactly. Thank you very much. How many of your friends would you do that to?
You? Yeah.
Well, I get that. Okay, so that was a very bad question.
Yeah, that was that was a trick question, that one, Joe. Big time.
Well, but we do it.
I think there's a difference between our Photoshop wars and having a painting.
The oil painting wars.
The oil painting wars.
Well, because again, you know, the uber rich, if you will, operate on a different wavelength, guys. So instead of the internet, perhaps they do. They use like, well, I'm going to get Peel to do a piece about you in a dress, you know, like that. And you wouldn't. I would. You know, that kind of thing. You just see it.
You, dude.
You know what I mean?
I can. It's almost like a Monty Python sketch there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, right.
That's why Monty Python was so funny, you know. It was so funny because it was so close to the bone. It was so sarcastic about real life, you know?
Yeah. Like, no, but that's not something that I would do to anybody that I had any sort of respect for. You know? I just
exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought Kristen in the chat liked you, but she's saying she wants to see you in the blue dress. I totally agree with that.
Who's that? Who said that?
Yeah, you see, I'm over on the YouTube chat. You see,
okay,
we
so
got
I'm here
two.
too. I'm looking. What happened?
Yeah, one of the mods put Joe in a blue dress. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that'll work too well.
You know, Scott, by tomorrow, I will have Joe photoshopped onto that.
You son of a gun. You probably would too.
I even know the effect.
You will. I know that it's. Thank you so much. Was that Kristen in the chat room?
It was, yeah. She knows. She knows I've got the Photoshop skills. You know it.
I appreciate it so much.
And that's the way we roll on here, right?
And Joe has a face made for Photoshop, so I mean...
See, that's a problem. That's the problem.
Scott, have you ever come across anyone that is so easy to blend into any situation?
It's magical. It's magical. It's almost like that power was bestowed upon Joe, whether he wanted it or not.
It is a blessing and a curse, guys. It's a blessing and a curse.
The man upstairs said, "You know what, Joe? I'm going to give you a face and a skin tone that can blend perfectly into any pixel that one desires to
but
blend
Scott, he's also been endowed with the sexy brain. A shout out to the sexy brain, you know.
Look at that. An on-air shout out to Sexy Brain.
See, Joe, I've got your back, man.
That's the way.
Yep.
We've got your 6.
Yep. You know it, dude.
Yeah.
You maverick, me goose. I don't like how my story ends up.
2 hours and 45 minutes till weapons release.
Well, shall we dip our toe into the Wookiee cave?
Absolutely, sir.
And I will do the honorary roll call. So then, first up, we've got me, Kev Baker, funnily enough. We have got Sophia. Lucky is in there. You can catch Lucky's show on a Monday and a Wednesday with Dr. Brooks Agnew, no less, right after the Kev Baker show. And then we have got TFR Wookie, Trudy Glenn, Silamo, Shih Tzu Bigelow. Wonder what the YouTube algorithm will make of that one.
Aye.
We have got, now what is that? 30 Freedom, Rest and Hope, Bam, Tessa, Joe Joseph, Contentious Plan, Paradoxical Anomaly. We have got Non-Profit Freedom, 3 Thinker, King Sweet, The Royal Fan. We have got Tony Phillips, Don, to you two. Bison, my good friend Bison in there. We have got Jackie O. Yeah, it's like the Jackie O. That's pretty cool, man. I mean, hey,
Yes.
RFK. I mean, we've got like Kennedys coming back to life and things. So
Yeah, we do, man. They're all coming out of the woodwork.
Who knows, dude? It could be. We've got Joseph Skynet. Oh, we've got a Nordic in there. Well, I'm assuming alien species because all she's told me is she's an alien girl. See how I done that? Nice chatter. Confident humans. So we've got humans. We've got aliens. We've got paradoxical anomalies. We could probably do a show just stringing together the names in the chat room. I don't know how we're going to get Shih Tzu Bigelow into the story, though.
It could be complicated, but it can be done, I think.
You think so?
I don't know.
I think so.
Hey.
Oh, and we have also got, wait for this, right? Sneaking in on the YouTube end. The missing member of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Yes, we do.
See him sitting there with his cats. He would look good on the yacht.
So in the shadows. And why so does he stuff his cats in boxes that are too small for him?
Because he's just waiting to move on to that £10 million super yacht where every bad guy has a cat, right? Johnny's got about 10 of them. So he'll be like the crazy cat
in the kingdom, limitless. By the way, Whistles, this might be of interest to you in case there are a lot of feline lovers out there that suffer from allergies related to their feline friends, but a solution may be around the corner. Yes, folks. I don't have the story in front of me, but I know you can find it on Drudge Report. They have developed, so they say, a vaccine for feline allergies. Now, I know everybody's like, oh, vaccine, blah, blah, blah. Well, you gotta read about it first, make an informed decision. Let's not get too carried away. But I do know that a lot of people suffer terribly from pet allergens. And anything that can help you love your feline friend anymore, I'm here for you, so I am as cat can be. Used to be a dog person, really, and I still am to an extent, but I got to tell you guys, that whole feline thing, yeah, I get it now. I get it.
You get it?
I do.
There's going to be like anti-cat vaxxers springing up all over YouTube now.
This is not only does it do that, but it also, the whole cat dog thing is actually a very, very almost toxic debate. And I don't even know why it's a debate. It's almost like religion and science. They shouldn't compete with one another. Instead, they should complement, but they don't. Why? Oh, we fight like cats and dogs. My cats and dog don't fight. My dog knows his place, which is the bottom of the food chain, but he knows it. And the cats respect the fact that he knows it.
Yeah, I'm a dog and cat person. I'm both.
Yeah, me too.
So, you don't have to choose sides, really.
But at the same time, I mean, I don't understand. A good judge of character is the cat test.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time. I always kind of refer back to ancient times when cats were pretty much regarded as royalty in Egypt. And I think we can all agree that Egyptians and things pretty much had a knowledge that we can't quite comprehend.
They eat dog in that part of the world,
Let's not get into that side of things, but I'm
just
thinking of the majestic cats out there. But we often have a laugh in here, with Susie, because she certainly hasn't forgotten that kind of royal blood that's in her. And they own the house. I'm definitely more the cat guy. I've never had a dog, though. I don't know, a bit apprehensive about after 43 years going from cat guy to the other camp,
And let me tell you why. It's not that dogs aren't cool and that they're not great friends and all that kind of stuff. They're needy. And it's like having a baby. And I can't go anywhere unless you board them. And you better be taking them out at regular intervals. And, oh, by the way, you got to clean up after them and that kind of thing. It's not like cats, where it's nice and they poop in a box. You just have to freaking scoop it every couple days. You fill the feeder. They feed themselves. They get love when they want love. You know, they tolerate their humans. They don't, they don't stink. They don't stink.
I think each one has their advantages and disadvantages, right?
Absolutely.
So,
but dogs, there's a relationship with a dog, a deep one, almost like a child to a parent.
Yeah. I've
you know what I mean?
That, yeah.
That you don't get with a cat.
Dude, I've even heard stories about dogs dying of broken hearts and things, you know?
Totally, man.
Yeah.
There is a level of bond that you get with a dog you don't get with a cat. But at the same time, though, I've developed bonds with my cats that are just like, I mean, it's unbelievable. We can communicate, Kev. Like literally, we'll talk to one another.
Well, you see, Anne thinks I'm mad, but I can do the same.
You
with
do
Susie.
the same thing, don't you?
And you got to appreciate. I mean, since I've been like not working and stuff like that, 24/7 with a cat. So you do, and I can tell exactly whether it's food, whether it's water, whether it's just cuddles, attention. You just get to know it, man.
You get to know it.
She's sitting here laughing right now. She's like, he's another cat man, okay?
Yeah,
he's cat
what's
man
crazy? I'll tell you where I learned it is when we had that feral cat colony down in North Carolina. And that was a wake-up call for me as far as, the type of suffering that goes on with feral animals, specifically like in rural communities here in the United States, Kev. What ends up happening is, you have your metro areas. In your metro areas, especially where I was, you had a lot of transient people because of the high military concentration. So you had Hampton Roads, Virginia, and that is like the biggest naval base in the world. You've got Langley Air Force Base. You got Langley NASA. There's just so much there. You got Oceana Naval Air Station. So it's just an enormous amount of transient people. And so when it's time to transfer and they can't bring their pets, you don't want to bring them to an SPCA, because if you do, you get logged in the system as you turned in a pet and you can't adopt anymore. So what they end up doing is they drive them out to the country and they dump them. And then these things have to fend for themselves. That's why we found Thor, the Thunderlord, our little Dachshund. He lived for a year. The dog was sick, probably had some sort of brain tumor, and he had seizures all the time and things like that. But I mean, we gave him a year of good life, but he came to our house emaciated, like a Dachshund, a hot dog, out in the woods. And let me tell you something, it's fierce out there, and then we had like 50 feral cats living on our property. Most of them were, the few that were brought in, they were never spayed or neutered, and as a result, the population exploded, and predators would just go and mangle these kittens, and you'd find just pieces of cat and all this, and the mothers would bring the kittens, the pieces, to our doorstep, and basically, looking for help for their young. And I mean, it's just that kind of gut-wrenching pain and just the reality of life, and the fact that they understand what's going on, but they also show an emotion that I didn't realize that they were capable of. And also in that environment, how they're structured. There's a societal structure to that whole colony, and I got to see it firsthand. And the intelligence in that, I mean, it's unbelievable, Kev. As you start to understand how they behave and how they operate, it's a lot of people don't give animals the credit they deserve. And I think back at the Bible talking about how the languages were scattered, and how before that happened, man and animal communicated. And, you start to think about, boy, how did that happen? And not only that, but what kind of intelligence did animals, and we say did they possess? But I tell you, I truly think that animals still possess that knowledge. It's us that have regressed. It's us that have taken that step back, It's pretty interesting.
I think that might have been a sense, a tool that we did have in ancient times, the ability to communicate.
You, man.
Yeah, I would go with that. What do you think,
'Cause,
Scott?
you know,
We're almost on the break. We'll get Scotty's
Yeah.
thoughts on that one, man. I mean, we talk about communicating or the forest communicating, Scott. I think at one point everything probably communicated, right? Like Avatar.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we had this deep connection with nature, right? And that, that's what ancient civilizations had. They understood the way animals operated. They understood the plant life. They had
respect. Deep respect.
Yeah, so they obviously were able to have some form of communication or understand what nature around them was saying, speaking to them basically on a level that, we just don't have now.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Yes, there we go, folks. There we go. Now, obviously, still live on YouTube, right? So we can't do our usual
3 minutes of fun-filled excitement. Now we can talk trash.
Yeah, we can't trash everyone like we used to do. We've got to be nice. You know what I mean?
I know. It's awful.
Yeah, we've got Nana in the chat room. We've got Kristen, Johnny Whistles, Philip Blair, Mary.
Good to see you all tonight.
We've got Nothing As It Seems. We've also got a new member joined the channel.
Really?
It was Mammoth Hunter. I like that. And get this right. Might not be Mammoth, right? But I'm getting somebody on from the very heart of the very original Mothman story.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. It's coming together behind the scenes. And we had Tia, the TV psychic, on the other day. Found a new vein. When you're gold mining and things, you follow the vein, man. Well, I tell you, we're following the vein of good guests here, and it's only gonna.
Oh, you've been really, really doing well.
See, that's the hard thing. You've always got to find your usual guests that you get on with, bring good content to the table, are able to change it up every month, But then you also have to keep bringing something new as well, guys, because if not, you just end up repeating the same stuff, and you become one of those echo chambers, or as I've been calling it today, the echo asylum. That's what it's more like.
Aye.
So we've got a couple of minutes. Now we have to figure out what we're going to talk about when we come back and make it look kind of snazzy for all these people out there. Scott's thinking, I made a right call being naked tonight. Naked Patrick. So who else we got? On you go, Scott.
Well, no, I was going to say, I mean, we can get into this. We've had some strange things happening at the center of our galaxy. If we want to go with some space woo.
Yeah, because we've had Musk as well. He's been talking for not the first time, but the second time about nuking Mars. And there is a scientific reason behind that. So I think we should go to space, because I found a weird thing as well about the 100-year starship. This is some good woo. It's not even.
Are you bringing up the 100-year starship?
At some point, Scott's going to bring up some weirdness from the center of the galaxy, and then we're going to do the Musk nukes, and we've got the 100-year starship, and there's a lot of weird space stuff going on.
There is a lot of weird space stuff going on.
Yeah, big time, man, big time.
And nobody's talking about it except
I watched a quick clip
and Scott Waring.
But I tell you what, don't mention Scott Waring to me, dude. He is in the Shell Brigade, right? But I watched a 1-minute clip of Elon Musk today, and somebody asked him, and it was a brilliant question. They said, once you create, or if you create the artificial general intelligence, what will be the first question you ask it? And you know what Musk is like? He's dead deliberate. He takes his time. He's thinking over it. He goes, he's like, I would ask it, what lies outside the simulation? Oh, like a true Musk, man.
Wow.
Exactly, dude. I'm like, that's the way to do it.
You know what, man? Honest to God, that's him. That's Musk.
Yeah, what you see is what you get, man. Some like it, some loathe it. Now
I don't know. How do you loathe that?
Some people do, dude. He's got government contracts and things, and people say he faked his whole car going into space.
What?
But that's the grounds for people not liking him. Now
I got you.
I'm going to have to just time this nicely, because we don't want too much of the TFR theme music because we're
God.
not sure about the whole copyright thing. So I'm going to
Well,
play.
it's better to be late, I guess.
Yeah, here we go. I'm going to play connection roulette, and here we go. 3, 2, 1. There we go. We are back. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Dude. And I'll do a drum roll while Scott wakes up the Wookiee. Wow, a farting Wookiee, no less.
A farting Wookiee.
It's a very special Freaky Friday. It's the very first time that I'm attempting to simulcast all of this.
And doing a very, very good job.
Well, yeah, obviously. We encourage everyone, go to the home of Freaky Friday, home of the Kev Baker Show, tfrlive.com. You've got the listen live option. You've got the chat room option. You've also got iHeartRadio. You've also got TuneIn Radio app. And now, for today only, anyway, we'll see, we have got YouTube as well. So there we go, man. We're like a virus. We're like podcast Ebola, dude.
Yes, we do.
Probably not the best virus to kind of liken us to, but
Scotty, what do you think about? You didn't have a chance to really chime in before the break about the whole cat dog thing.
Well, no, I agree with what you were talking about, right? I think at one point humans had a much deeper connection with animal life and nature in general, and that we pretty much understood what nature was telling us. We could feel it, maybe even understand it or whatever. It's almost like what you were talking about with that cat colony, right? You were able to kind of sit out there and observe it. Right. And, and that's what ancient man did. They had plenty of time to just observe nature and understand and have a deep connection of what was going on around them. And they were like, oh, OK, well, this is, this is what's happening. This is what the animals are saying. This is what they're trying to present to us. Right. And, it's like you said that there's this like deep level of intelligence with animals that, it's just a different type of intelligence, right? It's a type of intelligence that we can't comprehend really because, well, we're not them. You know what I mean? It's the same as like trying to understand the intelligence of, say, an alien civilization or something like that. Yeah. They're not our species, right? They don't operate the way we do, so it's hard for us to try and comprehend their intelligence, their thought process, the way they think, So I just think we had a deeper understanding of it a long time ago, and now that we've clustered ourselves in cities and we removed ourselves from nature, we just don't have that connection anymore. We don't understand it.
I agree with you. That is a very good observation too, might I add, is that we don't spend nearly the time observing things like we used to. I mean, animals aside, just stopping and observing things. I remember as a kid just laying on the grass and looking at the clouds passing by.
Exactly.
We don't do that anymore.
No, because what are we observing now? We're observing a screen on our mobile device.
And a tailored feed, one that's tailored to you, based on your perceived interests. And I mean, obviously there's some validity to it if we keep going back to these sites and keep doing these things, right? So there's certainly some validity. We perceive there to be a value. And it is this cycle that just continually and perpetually exists at the cost of connecting with the environment around us. We just don't do it anymore. And there's a price to be paid for that. Truly. At the same time though, it's kind of like this. Do you see it as like our time is finite? Some people use the internet, for socialization purposes the majority of the time. And then on the other part of the time, they use it as, perhaps like we do in the pursuit of knowledge. And then doing this kind of stuff. talking about the stuff that we've looked into, or that we've noticed to be of particular interest. And do you see it as like a balance where there's a benefit obviously to this stuff, but it's going to cost you that other time? But do you necessarily have to spend all your time doing it?
It's just like anything else. It's a double-edged sword, right? It can be used for beneficial purposes, and it can be used for detrimental purposes, right? So it's just a way of striking that balance, right? I think that's just something that we as a society have to try and figure out, because the technology is not going away. It's not going away at all. In fact, it's just going to increase exponentially.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out a way that we can strike a balance. And, I think that's the thing. I think that's kind of the major hurdle, or the major issue that we really need to figure out. Where is that perfect balance between the technology and then, like you said, Joe, being able to unplug from it, at least, unplug from it for a certain amount of time, and just go out and observe your natural world around you, and still have that connection. We really have to figure that out. And I think if we can figure that out, I think that's going to solve a lot of problems. And I think it'll just help increase, accelerate, us into the future, with a much more positive.
What if now? Okay, so this screen that you have in the palm of your hand, all of a sudden now has an app that will translate your animal's noises and speech, if you will. So now all of a sudden your animal can talk to you through your phone that does everything else.
Isn't there some Japanese company that claims that they made something that can translate?
I think I kind of I remember faintly that some sort of story at one point in time that they were messing around with that. Now, that was a while ago, so it could very well exist. I don't know. But I mean, could you imagine if you can talk to your pet? Oh, talk about a step in the, that would be just unbelievable.
That's uncanny valley stuff.
But at the same time, though, it'd be kind of crazy. Like, could you imagine?
What if the first thing that comes out of like your animal's mouth or something is like, "Hey, you humans are really messing up. You're really screwing things up. I've been waiting to tell you this forever, but now that you can understand me, you're screwing everything up, guys."
Have you ever watched the TV show The OA? It's unfortunately been cancelled now after 2 seasons. Absolutely amazing show, right? But in one episode of it, it's bizarre. It sounds so weird. But you've got the main character, and she's sitting in a big chair, and there's all these really rich and powerful people in this auditorium. And behind her is a big tank of water and an octopus, right? But the octopus uses her as a conduit to speak through. And that, when you hear this animal speaking the thoughts of it, it's so intelligent. It's like they call it the wise one or the old one or something.
It's like, what are we missing out on?
It's like we decided it wasn't worth communicating with you for centuries, but now we feel it is important, and that. And you're like, whoa. It's like pretty bizarre.
We are ravaging your species, right? And you don't feel the need to communicate with us? We'll just take it. Thanks.
Hey, it's a TV show, dude. It's a TV show, but it's kind of tied in with what Scott was saying. I imagine the animals would be saying, "What the hell are you doing? Look what's happening to our buddies, the bees. Lay off the bees, man. Whatever you're doing to them." Yes,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, they should be like going to all-out war on the human race at this point.
Can you imagine like talking to a turtle that's like almost 200 years old or something? And
I remember way back when.
Like speaking to Henry Kissinger.
I remember.
Or being able to pull sort of like the knowledge or some like just sort of the record of like, say, a tree that's been alive for 5,000 years.
Oh man,
that'd be cool.
Like the redwoods in California, or even like a cedar in Syria. Like one of those old
Like, what have those things witnessed? What have those things been through? You know, that.
And if they could speak.
Yeah. So,
they'd probably be like, oi, you can't believe how long I've been standing here and there's nothing going on over here. I want to be where the action is. The action died out 4,000 years ago.
Trees in Scotland all miserable and moaning about the weather, just like every other Scotsman then. You know what I mean?
And all I want is a drought, laddie, a drought.
Joe, congratulations, man. Are you taking like some kind of accent coaching or something, dude?
Yeah, it's hooked on phonics for bad Scottish accents.
Nice. I like it, man. I really like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do like that. But Scott, take us to the center of our Milky Way and the weirdness that's going on, man. I've fired up the rocket. We're going into that thing that some people don't think exists. We're off into space. It's in our hologram. It's in our simulation. So, what was happening, dude?
Yeah, I saw this the other day, but I didn't get a chance to look into it. But it sounds very interesting.
Well, that's just not good enough, Scott. That's just you know, Freaky Friday takes precedent over everything. You know, real life, real world. Come on, dude.
Yes. Of course. You know, how dare me? But this is from space.com, and it says something weird is happening to the black hole at the center of the Milky Way.
Uh-oh. You know, mysterious goings on at the black hole, he says.
Oogie boogie. Hey, remember, now they just took a picture of this thing.
Well, yeah.
They took a picture of one of them, I think. I don't know if it was one.
Isn't it a binary? I can't remember if it's like a binary black hole, but yeah.
So it says, astronomers have been watching the black hole at the center of our galaxy for 20 years, and in May, they saw something they'd never seen before. Well, technically, they aren't watching the black hole itself, which scientists call Sagittarius A, or SGRA.
I was going to say, there's a problem with trying to watch something that doesn't emit even the slightest bit of light.
Yeah, kind of one of those, it's, you know, mundane details like that, yeah.
Yeah. Instead, they're looking at the matter around the black hole. When the Milky Way's black hole is more active than usual, that event horizon becomes brighter as it heats up due to friction. Usually,
you mean
SGRA
like after you've had a good curry or a good chili or something, it heats up with the friction that's going on around there. I get you, man.
Yes. It says it says usually SGRA is pretty calm for a black hole, but in May that changed, according to new research. The black hole is always variable, but this was the brightest we've seen it in the infrared so far. Tuan Do, an astronomer at the University of California, Los Angeles, and lead author of the new study, said on Twitter, "It was probably even brighter before we started observing that night. That hypothesis is based on the fact that when the astronomers focused on the area on May 13th, they only saw relatively high brightness decreasing, suggesting the black hole had passed an unknown peak that was even brighter. According to the new paper, the recent flare brought SGRA to twice the brightness of the highest previous measurement to date."
Oh, so it gobbled something up.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. It says, Doe and his colleagues made the observations using the Keck telescopes on the summit of Mauna Kea in Hawaii. That instrument can see the world in near-infrared light, which encompasses wavelengths a bit longer than those our eyes can see. They think the black hole flare may have been caused by the close passage of either a star called SO2 last year or a dusty object called G2 in 2014. The scientists hope more observations of SGRA will help them sort out what the massive black hole is doing. Those observations include measurements made overnight on August 13th and 14th after a hiatus due to protests at Mauna Kea. I wonder what they were protesting.
Yeah.
I believe that's the place where the native people over there in Hawaii.
Oh, that's
Are
right.
not,
Yeah,
not
that's a
very
continual thing.
happy. Yeah, they're not very happy about that observatory being located there because they say that's on sacred land or something.
Interesting.
I tell you,
All of these mountaintops, though, are sacred
Stargates.
to them. They're stargates. And interestingly enough, that's why a lot of the communication with Moses happened on top of Mount Sinai, because it was, and even Ange, when she talks about she wants to, one of her things is wanting to go up to a mountain very high up and just be, left there just to pray. And I think that there's some validity to that. I do, so I don't know. One of these weekends, we're probably going to go up on a mountain and try and kind of let loose a little bit.
Yeah, that'd
Very
be pretty cool.
We talk about these sacred sites being stargates, and then we have scientists putting observatories up there to observe the stars.
Right.
So
I think. What do you think, Scott? Do you think? And this is speculation, right? But you've got all of that rock. You've got the quartz. You've got all the crystalline. You've got a whole heap of stuff going on when it comes to these mountains. And could it be that itself is channeling some kind of natural energy? Call it that piezoelectricity. And it's almost like one of the most charged areas on the planet if we're going along with this whole electrical universe thing as well. Maybe that adds to the whole spiritual side of things. Maybe that's what makes it a viable Stargate in this scenario.
Oh, I definitely think so. These people considered them sacred sites for a reason. This is going back to what we were talking about earlier about ancient man having a deeper connection with with nature, right, and understanding what was going on around them. They came across these sites and they could probably feel the natural energies emitting from these regions, right, from these areas. Like, oh wow, we're by this mountain, there's like weird stuff going on here, we can feel the energy. And so they made it a sacred site. They were able to tap into that natural energy, and like you said, natural stargates.
And the pyramid, the pyramid itself, it's shaped like a mountain, right? It's like a perfect mountaintop. You don't really look at it that way, but you get where I'm coming from. And then you see how actual natural mountains in Bosnia, things like that, they've had kind of the pyramid structures carved into them. They've taken advantage of the geology in the area. Again, probably all multiplying that electrical charge, that effect you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And going back to this whole thing with the black hole having this sort of flare or this bright flash going on, obviously this occurred many years ago, and it took many light years for it to finally reach us, right, before we were able to see it. Because what they speculate that this actually happened in 2014, but we're just now observing it because the vast distance of space.
I thought it would be much more than that.
I think it's about 300,000 light years across our galaxy, I believe.
Yeah, and I think it's an unbelievable amount of time it takes to get here.
I think so.
Yeah.
So they say.
Yeah, it's
there you go too, because it could all just be a projection. You're right.
But it's interesting. I wonder what kind of effects does this have, say, on the planet, right? Because you're talking about massive amounts of energy. Not just light,
like a gravitational wave.
Yeah, like an energy wave or something of some sort, emitting
a gravity wave measured by LIGO.
You and your gravity waves, Joe. What I was thinking as well, Scott? It was just the other day, I got talking to, I think it was Nancy, about 2012, right? And it got me thinking about the cycles and the ones we know about. But what about the things we don't know about, right? Think about it. We've only been here and we've only had scientific measuring equipment for not even a heartbeat when you look at the time that the universe has been here. And so what if there's other cycles that we just haven't even thought about yet? Things that haven't been recorded for Joe to kind of crap on because they're carbon dated. The things that we don't know about, And what effects could that be having? There's just so much, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. If there was our star, the sun is not that big, compared to other stars that are in the galaxy.
Oh, it's
there are
puny,
stars
man.
that are massive, like magnitudes
Dude,
larger.
our star,
Like
right? Our star's like a flyweight. It really is like a flyweight, and it's like the smallest weight in the universe. Because when you start looking at the other
it's a tiny star in the grand scheme of things.
it wouldn't even be a fair fight if another star came wandering into our system. It would just, you know what I mean?
Don't they say ours is a binary too?
Well, I think they take that from the majority are binary. So ours is quite rare to be a singular. But have they found the other one? And of course, some people say Saturn used to be, very prominent in the sky. That at one point could be dude. Again, dude, listen. If we're living in a simulation where some coder can upgrade
it can just show up. It can just be like wink.
Yeah, they get a bit bored or whatever they do. They're thinking, come on, we'll make things interesting.
Nibiru for 5 billion credits and plunked it in orbit right outside of Jupiter.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. Somebody's sitting there waiting to unlock the Nibiru card.
Yeah, they purchased the Nibiru DLC, and
it's a Nibiru Go. Yeah, look, there's a Nibiru over there. Quick, grab it.
Exactly. But really though, so I was thinking, if you had a whole bunch of stars that are like tens or hundreds of thousands of times more massive than our sun, getting ripped apart or being sucked into this black hole, and exploding and emitting, God knows what, how much gamma radiation, all of this stuff, and then it, splashes out through the galaxy, right? And we talk about, we've talked about many times here on the show, could our solar system be entering an area of space with higher activity? You know what I mean? Like the galactic plane, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, right.
And what if this, what if it has to do with something that was emitted from the center of our galaxy, and has spread out?
Isn't that the end of the age? Because we transit the galaxy in something that resembles like a sine wave going, if you look at the galactic equator, we transit like above it, then we hit it, and then we go down, and then we go back up, and that each half cycle is an age.
Yeah,
I think, right? So
that's that like the 26,000 year cycle.
So it's something crazy like that. That I think the whole cycle is 26 years, going the full sine wave. But you have to think that there is changes that occur when that happens, because oftentimes you see these cataclysms in cyclical fashion. And so you wonder if it, much like the moon affects the tides on the planet, does transiting an area where that black hole has greater influence on the Earth, or other factors, perhaps.
I think it might even.
It obviously has an influence, because we wouldn't be spinning around. Our whole galaxy is rotating around this black hole, so obviously it's having an influence on everything that is rotating around it. So I think anything that that happens with this at the center of the galaxy is going to spread outwards like a ripple in a pond, right? And eventually it'll affect everything in the galaxy. So very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think our DNA gets affected, and that's why some of the alleged upgrades, some of the weird things that's gone on with the DNA, and people will rightly say, alien intervention. Could be. It could be, but it could be something cosmic as well. I mean, DNA can be affected very, very easily. So if the shields go down with the magnetosphere and things like that, maybe that could do something like that.
Because the magnetosphere doesn't stop all the gamma rays that hit the planet, just like they don't stop all the ultraviolet. There are things that get through, and if you have a pretty big burst of something like that, I mean, Kev, that could do a lot. That could have a major impact.
Yeah, who knows? Well, when we come back after the break, we've got more space-related kind of woo to get into here. We've got Musk He's been using Twitter to his advantage again. Oh, yeah, we'll get into that after the break. Then we've also got the 100-year Starship program. Never heard
of this until you sent this to me.
It was Michio Kaku. I heard him talking about it today. He didn't literally phone me up and tell me, Kev, you need to go and check this out. I'd like to have that relationship with old Michio, but you know, maybe one day. No, I'd never heard of this before, and we're talking like interstellar travel here, folks. And by the way, seems to be a bit of money going into this program, so maybe it's just a big con for money. I don't know. We'll take a look at it. I tell you what, if I could sign up for a 100-year trip on a starship out of here, I might just take you up on that.
Amen to that, brother.
Do you mean just like get me out of here, Joe, or are you coming with me?
Let's go.
Just do one. We're out. We're gone.
Let's do it.
Yes, well, we're almost on the break. It's going to be coming up in just a few seconds. So remember, we'll be back in 3 short minutes. And then get yourself a cup of coffee. If you're like me, you're probably a Red Bull addict. Grab one of them. Grab a beer, because it's Freaky Friday. Can you handle the woo? Damn, I need to get rid of that music quick. Oh, folks, it's like playing algorithm roulette. It truly, truly is. So far, so good, Scott. I've got my fingers crossed here, man. We haven't woken up the algo yet. Not yet.
Good. That's good. That's good. And shout out to everybody on YouTube watching us on this.
Yes, big time.
This simulcast.
I was looking in there. We've got somebody saying Spock lives. That's Tessa. NASA, you guys are so funny, and I get it. Some people just roll their eyes when they hear of NASA, and yeah, they've certainly been guilty of selling us some dodgy stuff in the past. Doesn't mean everything's fake, though. Doesn't mean space is fake. And yeah, I get it. Scott, I bring a guy onto the show, Brendan Drackler, right? Astrophysicist dude. And he's like making a simulation. He's doing the coding for a simulation that's going to look at what happens when 2 black holes merge, right? And he always puts like this NASA patch in the background, because he knows that word NASA, just that word alone, that topic, triggers so many people, dude. And I get it, I get it. They've fudged things up. We've caught them doing things with composite pictures and stuff like that. But I don't think we can absolutely discount everything that comes from NASA.
No, you got to look at it, logically, right? Not every single thing is fake, but they do PR stuff and like to embellish things, and you're right.
Oh, they like to tell the big lies, Scott. Don't get me wrong, don't they? When it comes to lying, they're up there.
Definitely, right. But I mean, when it comes to just pretty much basic science stuff, I don't think NASA's lying to us. You know what I mean? So you're right, and you're talking about your guest there who likes to put up that NASA patch. I kind of like his sense of humor.
Yeah, and we've got somebody in the chat room, Hayden, says, well, I don't trust nothing. Space is real, but we ain't going out there in your body past the radiation belt in a quality street tin can. And I used to think that. And then I had a guy come onto the show, Dr. David Warmflash, somebody who has been part of NASA missions. So people will say, but he was chilling for NASA, Kev. Well, you need to make your own mind up, because he says, you go for x-rays and things, don't you? And we certainly do. And he asked me, how much radiation is in the Van Allen radiation belt? I mean, tell me, like, how dangerous is it? I was stumped. I'm like, I don't really know. He says, well, when you go through it the right angle and you know the place to go through it, it's actually very, very minimal. And it's not this big stumbling block that I once thought it was. Now, again, he could be shilling for NASA. I get that. But at the same time, it was a way I had never thought about it. And it starts to make sense.
No, it's not a stumbling block, Kev. But what it is, like, a couple of things they didn't anticipate on was like the intensity of it to the point where it degaussed their tapes.
Conveniently.
That kind of stuff.
Conveniently.
Yes, conveniently so.
Just the tapes, Joe. Just the tapes.
And nothing but
so,
the tapes.
On the record, well, I guess we're about to come back from.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm watching the clock, Scott. I'll get us there.
But like say the moon landings and stuff. I think NASA faked a lot of that footage, faked a lot of those photos because of what Joe just said. I think a lot of that stuff didn't survive the trip back. I think
but
we went.
Of course we went. I mean, that's ridiculous. I love the but we went to the freaking moon. You can see that crap. We went to the moon.
Yeah, I think we went to the moon, but they showed us something they prepared beforehand. Here we go, gents. Here we go. There we go, ladies and gents. We are back. Hour number 2 on today's very special Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew right here on TFR.
Simulcast.
Yes, the Simulcast. Hey. Yes, we are here on our home, the home of Freaky Friday, tfrlive.com. But this week, we are spreading our wings. We're creating carbon copies of ourselves. We're cloning ourselves. We're also on YouTube as well. So a big shout out to everybody on YouTube, everybody in the Freaky Friday chat room. It's getting highly interactive here. We've got people.
Let me tell you something, Kev. Wow, is this not crazy? It's trying to keep up with everybody on both sides. Woof.
You see, you just have to have the camera on. I've got like stream things open
and then
here.
You got all that crap, Kev. I don't know how you're not. Like And by the way, are we not? I just wanted to tell everybody out there that the more, especially the chatters, the more that you tell me, it's NASA, it's NASA, it's NASA, it's the more I'm going to say that, even though I may not agree, or I may not even say things that, in this case, I might not agree with, or I might agree with. You won't know because I'm just saying it to piss you off at this point because of what you're doing in the chat.
Joe's the trigger. It's like I said, when you were away getting your coffee, it's one of those subjects that immediately divides the room. And I was saying, sure. And
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, Scott too. But at the same time, we can't just discount something because it comes from NASA,
Right. Yeah.
But space, Joe, Elon Musk.
Okay.
What's he been up to, dude? Yeah.
Mr. Musk has come up with a very, very interesting way to terraform. Mm-hmm. And hey, why not? Since we don't want to use these things on planet Earth, Elon says, so San Francisco Gate reports, why not just nuke Mars? Now, that would be a good idea. Listen to this. Elon tweeted on Thursday evening, nuke Mars, and a few hours later, he followed it up with T-shirt soon.
We'll get this, Joe, because over on your favorite, the Metro, slightly different take in it, and it has a whole different tone to this story, right? Elon Musk is still keen to nuke Mars, and he probably can't be stopped.
Probably can't. Okay, so that is a different twist. But let me say, let's go with the more moderate. Yes. Now, says, although the tweet is in Musk's typically flippant style, the billionaire has long championed the idea of firing nuclear weapons at the red planet with the aim of terraforming it, i.e., making the surface habitable for humans. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, meh, you can't do that because if they use nukes, it's not going to be habitable. Meh. Okay. Well, but wait, there's more. Because it's a good idea. If somebody like Musk puts it out, chances are he's probably done his homework a little bit. I don't know. In an appearance on The Late Show with Colbert in 2015, Musk said Mars could be warmed by dropping thermonuclear weapons over the poles.
It's true, dude. It's true. It would work.
Colbert, yeah. Prompting Colbert to, basically, hey, man, puff, puff, give, that kind of thing. And then go on to really ask that, well, how? How does that happen? How does it? And so the goal would be to vaporize that water that's trapped in the ice at the poles. That in turn would release CO2 in the atmosphere and engineer what he says would be a greenhouse effect around the planet.
You know what's worse, guys? I'm actually thinking, and I think you might agree with me here. It's not going to be the first time that Mars has been nuked.
No, probably not. Right?
I think it happened in its ancient past. I really do. I think there's been so many different versions of this story, man. It's
What
just
about Venus?
possibly, yeah. You got to remember that alien sky. I call it an alien sky because we wouldn't recognize it if we went just back to early man. And that's just early man in this current form. I really don't know how many different iterations, how many versions of this simulation have ran. So who knows, dude? Who knows?
Yeah, it says here the science of nuking Mars isn't watertight. However, in 2018, two researchers from the University of Colorado in northern Arizona explained the possibility of using CO2 to terraform Mars and concluded that it wouldn't be possible with today's technology. The study, published in Nature Astronomy, identified two problems. First, there simply isn't enough CO2 trapped on Mars to produce the intended effect. The second is particles from Mars' atmosphere are constantly being lost to space. So vaporized CO2 would leak out of the atmosphere. Now, whether Musk will make a t-shirt out of nuking Mars remains to be seen. Those companies do have a long history of selling unusual and sometimes dangerous merchandise.
Come on, not a flamethrower, Joe.
I mean, come on, man.
But let's think about it, right?
Okay.
Because terraforming is something that's going to be in our future. If we follow the technological curve we're on.
It can't hurt, Kev. You know, that's all I'm going to say.
I was saying to you earlier today, Joe, right? And it sounds like a really weird idea, but one of the first and best things Musk could possibly think about doing, build some kind of artificial moon.
Yes. Why not?
Well, you know, then you can regulate your tidal kind of shifts and things like that.
Yeah.
You've also got a great observation post.
And also stabilize the rotation of Mars, because every I don't know the exact cycle, but it's in the millions of years. Mars actually starts to tumble, right? So it spins, on its equatorial axis or whatever, and then it just starts to tumble because there's no moon large enough to keep its rotation oriented. So that could be a major issue later on if we do manage to colonize Mars. We could be looking at a potential cataclysm, within, a couple million years or whatever civilization is existing at that point, because it doesn't have a stable axis of rotation due to the fact that
I like the idea of an artificial moon, or some sort of like Elysium.
Yeah, I mean, if we go further afield, right, we're going to get into interstellar travel and stuff like that. I mean, you're going to want some kind of platform to do all this from. What better than just roll yourself in a moon? You got all the stuff there to do what you're doing.
You don't have to terraform. You could just build it to suit your needs.
Imagine there's actually a race of beings out there, Joe, that are building planets to, like you said, like building planets to order, dude.
Yeah, right. Like the mice in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Probably not mice-looking aliens.
How do you know?
Because I heard from it was somebody on Gaia, so it must be true. But I heard there's like blue chicken people that build these houses. Couldn't resist, man. Couldn't resist. Somebody says maybe we came from.
Let me ask you this.
Joe,
even if they do,
somebody says maybe we came from Mars as an escape plan after we cut down all the rainforest and ignored global warming, and the elite escaped Mars and came here with slaves and had to rebuild. And what do they call Cairo? Al-Kahira? That's Arabic for Mars.
Maybe that was the spaceport.
Maybe.
That was where the nonstop flight to Mars was.
I'm open to that.
That's where they picked it up. Yeah. I don't know. Hey, all I know is this, is that if that's the case, and nuking Mars, you could at least do it and proof the concept. At least it may not be enough to terraform it, but you could at least do it, and be like a big science experiment. As far as we can tell, there's nothing that lives there that we can detect, mind you. We may not be looking exactly in the right spectrum.
What's the worst that could happen? You create a barren, desolate planet. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait. Exactly. What's going to happen? Do you think it's going to explode? Yeah, maybe that would be a problem if Mars just spontaneously combusted, but I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, so you detonate some nukes over the poles and see what happens. If anything, it's a hell of a show.
Nobody would believe it anyway.
We spend more on rovers.
Dude, nobody's going to believe it anyway.
And nobody's going to believe it anyway. So exactly right. Why not do it? You just do it. You know, that's what I'm saying. They spent more on rovers. The nukes are already made. All you got to do is just, a couple of probes and drop those puppies.
Yeah, knowing Musk, he probably sat there and thought about, okay, well, what would happen if an asteroid or something hit Mars, like at the poles? You know, what kind of effect would that have? And then he kind of just calculated it out and worked out, how many megatons would be necessary to maybe recreate something of that magnitude. And
come on, Scott. Isn't that what you do on typically on the break on a show and things? Just work out that kind of stuff, It's just a Musk tea break. He's probably just having a shit at the time, He's probably sitting on the crapper. He's thinking, I wonder how many nukes it would take to get that atmosphere going.
It's thought experiment after thought experiment. Why not?
God, man. Oh, I honestly do.
I would love to be able to do. I mean, could you imagine? I know it sounds kind of sick, but at the same time, could you imagine having the resources or access to be able to do something like that?
Dude.
I mean, unbelievable stuff.
You could plan it from your 10 million
it's like
pound
Genesis and Wrath of Khan. It kind of almost sort of is in a way,
You could
what you're trying to do.
Dude, you could conduct all of your shenanigans and nefarious plan from that yacht that we're going to buy for $10 million. If we're going to be terraforming a planet, the $10 million yacht is cheap, dude. We're going to
need it as a base of operations for our telescope.
Exactly, man. But if we're not going to go storming Mars, you're going to like how can we go storming Area 51? Oh wait, we're not storming it anymore.
That's right.
We are having alien stock, man. Now, why couldn't they have planned it like this from the start? I would have been telling people.
I'm sure that this was the plan from the start.
Did you see the guy that originally posted it? He didn't have the vision. He missed a stroke here. He really should have started monetizing this somehow. But yeah.
If you think about it, though, I mean, what a brilliant thing. If this was actually like what this guy was intending from the get-go, wow, brilliant. But it wasn't.
It wasn't. But somebody's going to make a fortune out of it. You know it.
It'll get hijacked too.
And it says here, right? First, it was called Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us, but they can. That's I added in that.
But they can.
And it stated its stated purpose was to, quote, all meet up in rural Nevada and coordinate our parties. If we Naruto run, we can run faster than their bullets. Let's see them aliens. Now, the movement quickly gained strength in two directions, as huge numbers of Facebook followers said they were going over 2 million as of the writing of this. And while the military, local police, and Area 51 experts warned that this was a bad idea and could end up pretty badly. That didn't deter the moneymakers, as corporate sponsors offered beer, fast food, and even, get it guys, exotic dancers. And Lil Nas X offered to play there as well. Never heard of Lil Nas X in my life, but hey-ho.
Are you kidding? It's the guy that does that country rap song.
I don't know, but that was quite weird seeing you coming in at that angle, dude.
That Old Town Road.
See, Joe loves his country rap music. Is it such a thing? But it says now the money-making potential has hit him as well. And he is turning the event into a music festival called Alien Stock. So it sounds, Scott, like it is the guy that organised the Facebook group. He's now kind of switched it up, and fair play to him. All those thousands of people going out there, you'd be mad not to kind of take advantage of an opportunity like this. But it says, will this be 3 days of peace, music, and extraterrestrials? Burning Man from Mars, or a flop to make us forget Woodstock 50 and the Fire festival. Quote, we're aiming to establish something unique here, a meeting place for all the believers. Come out to the
Hot
desert.
diggity dog.
Come out to the desert to dive into a world of live music, arts, and camping under the stars. We encourage attendees to bring all of their essential needs, and we ask that everyone remember to fill up those gas tanks. We'll have the critical infrastructure set in place, and we can't wait to share this experience. Oh, yeah. It's going to be
what
sex,
better place to hold a
drugs,
party than Area 51?
sex, drugs, and aliens, dude. Those Nordics will be there.
Yeah,
man.
and machine guns and death rays. Oh, my.
Well, you know what? I bet somebody decided to capitalize on this because I noticed, it was a couple of weeks ago or something, that there was this fake flyer that started getting circulated over the internet, basically showing that like all of these pop stars and artists were going to go out there and hold some kind of a festival at the Storm Area 51 event, and it was fake. Obviously, you could tell that they were putting specific artists on there to kind of trigger the conspirasphere. I noticed Billie Eilish was listed on there.
Don't even speak to me about her. I'm sitting watching that TV show Hannah. It's like an espionage thing. It's like spies and all that good stuff. And then what comes on, Scott? Billie bloody Eilish. I'm thinking, oh no, I would never have known that song. It would have just been a song, And it was the one with the spiders as well. Oh.
So I noticed that, that there was that kind of fake flyer flying around, and that kind of went viral and was spread. And I think probably some people were like, you know what? Why not? Let's actually do it.
Dude, imagine you had like a food wagon, something like that. If you were near to Nevada, you'd be praying this thing was on, because people are going to need to eat in the desert, right? An ice cream van, dude. You want to get out there with an ice cream van. You're going to be absolutely making a fortune.
Gosh, could you imagine? First of all, the logistics there would be a nightmare. However, you wouldn't have to hold on to it long.
Water. Imagine just going with water. Even that's going to become a valuable commodity.
I'm just picturing
the showers.
I'm just picturing this single ice cream truck, Kev, just by itself, hauling ass through the salt flats of the desert, trying to get to people.
Hurry up quick before it melts.
The three of us, man.
With its music kind of just blaring through the open desert.
Joe and his country rap music. What the shenanigan is that?
Hey. There is nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to admiring that kind of stuff.
The world of country rap.
That's right.
Dearie me, Joe.
Country rap.
Oh, indeedy. Indeedy.
Yes, the brain is like, what?
At least now, though, it's inevitable that some of these people, a very small minority, are going to get in trouble. They're going to try and storm Area 51.
Do you think that people will be stupid enough to do that?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's going to be a
handful, maybe, right?
Yeah, very small. Yes.
Yeah, there's going to be a segment of them out there that's actually going to try to do the Naruto run.
Can't stop us. Poof.
Pink mess.
What happened to Larry? Yeah, he's the stain on your T-shirt now.
Yeah.
He's the one that took too many drugs at the alien festival, alien stock, and decided he was just going to go for it.
You know, there's always one, Scott. There's always one that has to go too far, right? Always. Used to be me at parties. Thank goodness I'm not going to the desert for this get together, man. Last thing I need to be is caught trying to storm Area 51. That's not good juju. Make for good radio, I suppose, Or would it just turn it into that pink mist as you run at the fence?
Not recommending anyone try this, but it would be pretty funny if somebody got a mock-up model of like the alien from Independence Day and put it in the back of their pickup truck and covered it with a parachute like Will Smith did, and then just drove up to Area 51 and see if they could get. Oh my
goodness, are you kidding me?
Can you think that? I mean, see if there was ever a perfect time to play out some Project Bluebeam, and I'm not saying this.
That would be it,
dude.
or even just a test flyover of like one of their flying saucers or
Oh
something.
man, people would lose their crap, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Be funny, it'd be good.
There might be somebody out there at Area 51 that decides that they're just going to screw with them. Just screw with the people out there. They're like, that's it. Just fly the UFO. Just do a low pass over them.
If you just did that once, they wouldn't go in there. They wouldn't do it. They would be like, whoa, that's all they need. Done, sated. Goodbye. It's all
Just
true.
a couple of 50 cal, like 10 foot over the head. That's enough when you hear one of those
That'll do
whistling
it too.
by. Yep.
About face.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. Right, Scott, what have you found here? What's happening in my former homeland? Come on, dude. They've not turned the lights out again, have they?
So, you remember the story that we covered? What was it, last year? I believe it was, or was it earlier this year?
Earlier, no, it was last year.
120 degrees and not a shower within 50 miles.
And that was King Sweet. Yes, you fan of the Royals. You great call though. My word, it's going to be smelling worse than.
Oh yeah,
something
yeah,
smelly.
Yeah. Dude, well, think about Burning Man, right? That's out in the desert, and you got to. Now, here's the crazy thing about that.
Burning Man
right?
is crazy, dude, because a lot of
Burning
the
Man is what? That's about. There's a debauchery factor there too, but on top of the debauchery factor, you have a very low standard of hygiene.
But Joe, you've also got the very
Not good.
top cream of the crop of the elite, the tech world going there.
Yeah,
Silicon.
but most of them aren't, and most of them stink.
Yep, I mean it was Google. They actually hired one of their top executives at Burning Man. That was like where the final round of the kind of interview thing went on, man. And a lot of these tech people go out there, and I'm not knocking them. Hey, I would go to Burning Man if I was in the area. I'd give it a try. It looks absolutely wild.
And all you would have, you'd smell armpits and freaking nasty. Blech. Go ahead, have your Burning Man all you want.
I would imagine there's
I'm
plenty.
done doing that crap, man. There's no deserts in my future.
Joe,
the
when
Middle
did
East
you-
was enough for me, and
Joe,
I'm done.
when did you go and get old on us, man?
I remember those. I ain't doing that stuff anymore, Kev.
Somebody, Roxy, in the YouTube end of things says, when are they storming Area 51 anyway? Was it September the 1st? Is that
I
right?
don't know. Who cares?
It was the 20th.
Was it
I
the
believe.
I
20th?
guess you know what though? Maybe that would be this year's version.
The
Maybe a
running of the
new and
sheeple.
improved version. Maybe something may unseat the running of the sheeple.
Oh, that could be, Joe.
Could you imagine if this takes Black Friday to a new level?
Here in 4 days, actually, is when it's supposed to happen. I think it was August 20th was when everyone was
that
supposed to. Yeah. I believe so.
Oh my.
So,
We'll soon see then.
yes.
Yeah, we might have
Yes,
a
we
lot of, we might have some very interesting footage to cover over in the weekend live stream after that happens, I would
99
imagine.
Red B in the chat room said it right. Going to Burning Man, come back with burning.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I would imagine so. I imagine that. Right, Scott, we've got a couple of minutes before the break. What's happening? Or what are you claiming is happening in my beloved Russia? Because I'm suspecting fake news against the state here, to be honest with you.
Well, we'll start to get into this, and then we'll get into it more whenever we get back. But remember the story that we had covered where it went pitch black in a Russian city during the middle of the day, right? It looks like it has happened again.
Are we sure it's not the same one being
Is that right?
regurgitated?
No. This is a different event. This just occurred, I believe. So
Yes,
it's-
Kev, this is a new event.
Yeah, I'm not. You know how they regurgitate
I thought
things,
you were
dude?
up on this stuff. It is, after all, your fatherland, motherland, something like that.
Dude, hey,
Motherland. Both.
don't
neither.
assign. Don't just assume gender, please.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah.
The
Jazz
undesignated-
hands, Joe. Jazz hands. We'll agree to jazz
Jazz
hands it out. Yeah. Woo! on you go then, Scott. On you go. I'll debunk this for the state on the other side.
Okay. It says residents of Far East Russian region wake up to a bizarre pitch black morning. The people of Siberia's, not Serbia. of Siberia's Verkhoyansk district got a feeling of deja vu last Friday when they woke up to a total darkness at an hour when the sun should have been high in the sky. A similar phenomenon occurred in the region just over a year ago. So there you go, Kev. This is not regurgitated. This time of year, dawn breaks at around 4 a.m. in the region, but photos taken by locals at around 8 in the morning show no signs of the sun, as entire settlements are bathed in almost complete darkness with a bizarre yellow tinge to it. Luckily, locals were used to such unusual phenomena, as last year in July, the region and other Yucatan regions experienced another pitch black morning. In fact, some people took to social media to ask if this is becoming some sort of weird tradition. Is it becoming a weird tradition?
Okay, I'm calling shenanigans. You know why I'm calling shenanigans? Before we go to the break, I've done a reverse image search on that first image, and that image definitely came from the first one.
Well, they could be using images from the first one.
See, this is how they try to attack my beloved Russia, you see. They found a way in with that story the first time, and we'll deal with this on the other side. I'll have a word with Scott during the break. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But the reverse image search does come up. That first one, anyway. Because here's a story. Check this one, Scott.
What about the other ones, though?
I'm going to go and check it now.
I'll also bring up some natural explanation for this, too. So,
cool. Cool.
Where
are we?
Kev has immediately went into debunk mode. Everyone.
It's just, it's not that I automatically go into debunk mode. It's just that.
Yes, come on, admit it, Kev.
Do you know why it is? I'll tell everyone why it is, right? And it sounds like Kev's the most skeptical kind of debunker asshole there is out there. Folks, it's because I have been so wrong so many times in the past. And I've felt so embarrassed when somebody, like, when I've come to realize. And the thing is, Scott, you know, I would do it myself. I would put it up onto YouTube. We wouldn't have the benefit of having this kind of teamwork going. And then I'd be like, oh, no, I've gone and bloody posted some real fake news. Do you know what I mean? So that's the only reason I kind of really kind of check now. And again, even if we prove all of these photos come from the first event, the story itself did mention this is a new one. So, I mean, it doesn't mean it's not true. But that's how we'll kind of say it, right? So I'm not a total debunker.
Yeah, I mean, you can, you know, if you want, you can go ahead and try to reverse image search every image
I'm doing
there.
another one now. I'm doing the one that we see on screen right now. And then I'll show people how we got there as well. 2 secs. There we go. So I'll bring this over here.
But I honestly think that the event occurred. You know, they might just, you know, it's hard to actually get photographs out of that area of the world. You know, you're talking about rural areas of Siberia. So, you know,
yeah, but they should have said then, look, these are stock photos. You know, for you debunkers out there, don't be saying we're like just talking crap and things, you know? You see that one? I'm definitely thinking we've been had here. Hang on. This is one from the Sun, or it was the Sun. There's the Sun. No, that's the Independent again. Tech News. Take us to that story, please. You see, it's an old story. It's not even bringing up the right link. Try again. Yeah, this is from 1408. And again, that doesn't, you can't tell anyone. Oh, there it is, yeah. 14th of, oh, hang on. Is that this year? That could be a recent one, Scott. That could be a recent one. Let me just check another. It's the same thing. Let's see. So what's your take on what's happening anyway, Scott?
Well, I'll get into it a little bit whenever we get back, but I have a pretty good pretty good suspicion of what's actually happening over there. I think it can be easily explained due to where they're located and a lot of what's going on right now. But I think a lot of it has to do with the forest fires, the massive forest fires that are occurring out in Siberia right now.
Right, this one's this year as well. So yeah, independent Turkey. Yep. But they're quoting the Siberian times. Right, I'll bring back the network. Here we go. Stand by. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. We are back. We are live. Second half of today's Freaky Friday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kev Baker. I have got Scotty Lopez with me. And Joe Joseph, he's away feeding his face yet again. You ever noticed that, Scott? He's like a hamster or a gerbil or something, right? He is always bloody eating, man. Yeah, honestly, dude, we're going to have to buy him like one of these wider kind of aspect cameras soon. Don't tell him when he comes back, folks, but he's putting on a bit of beef as our Joseph, man. He's going full sumo. So what's happening in Russia? Before the break, I was trying to defend my homeland, but Scott, it could be that this has happened again, so tell us, what's happening? Why is day turning to night in Siberia?
Well, my speculation on this, and I'm pretty sure this is what's actually occurring, is I think these are smoke plumes from the massive wildfires that are occurring in Siberia right now. And when I'm saying massive wildfires, I mean these are huge wildfires. These are like wildfires that have not occurred in that region for like 10,000 years. These are huge. We're talking about like hundreds of hectares being burned in this area of Russia. And in fact, some of the smoke plumes are being carried across the Pacific Ocean and into Canada and stuff like that. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild stuff. So what I think is going on here is that some of these smoke plumes are just moving over some of these rural villages and towns out there in Russia, and you wake up, something like that, of course it's going to blot out the sun. It's going to be black. So I think that is what is occurring, and I'll just kind of continue on with this article here. And someone was quoted as saying, is it becoming a weird tradition that every August or July we wake up panicking because the sun is off again? One local commented, it says, although there is yet no official explanation for the bizarre sunless morning, weather experts believe it may be related to the forest fires raging over Siberia. Apparently, the high amounts of carbon monoxide in the atmosphere may have led to the rapid formation of unusually thick clouds that blocked the sun out completely.
Imagine that, dude. You'd absolutely lose your crap if that happened over here, man. Just wandering down the road, doing your thing. You're driving along. You're doing whatever you do in your day, and then all of a sudden, whoa, just gets dark. Oh, yeah, I've seen all the Hollywood movies, dude. That's usually the forebearer of some bad juju going down, man.
Wow, yeah. Oh, so get this. This is kind of interesting. And it says, this situation can be compared to what is happening during cloud spiking, which is done to cause rain. So cloud seeding. This is Yevgeny Tishkovets, the chief specialist of Russian weather service, Phobos, told the Yakutia 24 TV channel.
See, you got to like that about the Russians and the Chinese. They seem to be far more kind of open with their science and crap like that. Far more open with it,
Yeah, he's just basically out there. Yeah, this is what happens. This is the same thing that kind of happens whenever we're doing geoengineering.
Nothing to see here. No, man.
Yeah. It says the cloud cover was as thick as it can possibly be. Add to this the wildfire smoke and precipitation. This is still, of course, rather approximate, and we need to analyze what is happening in a lot more detail. The Phobos Weather Center did record a high concentration of carbon monoxide in the region, compared to the allowed the region of 7.9 mg compared to the allowed minimum of 5 mg. But it doesn't seem extreme enough level to cause what looked like a total eclipse. Wow. So that's got to be pretty scary, though, for people living out in that area because of the size of these wildfires. It's almost on a level that like you can't even comprehend. I've seen like satellite photos and stuff of these wildfires, and because that's such a desolate area, just a vast unexplored, untamed wilderness area. I mean, these fires have grown to like biblical proportions, and it's got to be scary, man. If you live out in some isolated area out there and the wind happens to shift one of these smoke plumes over your town, that's got to be absolutely horrifying. And then just the thought of the raised levels of carbon monoxide in the air, that's got to be pretty dangerous too. I mean, can you imagine? It's probably almost suffocating, being located, in the path of this stuff. So, pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, I did think that was interesting though, how that Russian guy just kind of said, yeah, this is kind of what happens. This is the same thing that happens whenever we geoengineer, creates clouds like this. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's quite interesting how they do talk about the whole seeding of clouds and things. It's weird. But this whole, I don't know, man. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Twice. I don't know. It's still weird woo. I wouldn't fancy being in the middle of it, not knowing what's going on. I tell you that.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, that's just kind of where I'm laying right now on this. I think that might have to do with the forest fires, but it's not a definite. I'm not at 100% with it. It is weird though. Like you said, I mean, this is like the second time we've had to cover something like this, and the locals there say it happens every August or July. So, maybe that's just going back to the wildfire thing. Maybe it's just that's when their wildfire season is, right, during the summer, late summer, when everything's hot and dry, and
right.
So maybe something like this occurs at around that time of the year. So I don't know. Very interesting stuff. But all I know is that I would be freaking the hell out if something like that happened and the sun was completely blotted out.
Big time, dude. Like I say, I mean, what does it do for the animals as well? I wonder, right? So that must throw them off as well when that happens, You'd think, anyway.
Short and long-term effects are probably not good.
Probably not, man.
Because I know for a fact, whenever we had the solar eclipse come over our area, it was
Did
very
that wreak havoc with the animals?
Yeah, it did. It totally did, because we were so close to being in the line for a total eclipse. We got pretty much like 99.98 eclipse over here. But there was just like one little tiny sliver that was still shining. But
wow,
we got pretty much a total eclipse. And once that moved over, all of the cicadas started and they
wow, yeah.
Yeah, they don't do that, in the middle of the day. They do that towards evening whenever the sun is going down. And so when the eclipse moved over, it had that same effect. It looked like sunset, right? At the sky had that look and everything. And so all of the cicadas started and just you could just tell all the animals were kind of going into, oh, okay.
And then Scott, and then Scott, you get your emergency alert system going off, because I know they love to do that to you in Kansas as well, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, they did that the other day, or the other week, right? I don't know, man. There's just so much weird stuff going on lately. Isn't it just seem like so many kind of bizarre, weird things are happening? It's just kind of exponentially increasing. Like we're talking about the sun being blotted out in Russia and just like weird phenomenon occurring. We got solar eclipses happening, kind of like falling into the same sort of there's supposed to be another eclipse that traverses the United States sometime here in the next few years, I believe.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah. And then we had the eclipse down in South America, and it just seems like there's a lot of activity going on. Just a lot of weird stuff,
Somebody's jacked the Matrix. The last upgrade was corrupted, Scott. It's done something wrong to it.
Yeah, they're like, we need to give them a little more action.
we need a patch in it. Definite, man. Listen, when the Lusitania is no longer the kind of incident for World War I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. I'm scared to answer any questions about history because you might be an expert.
Who knows what the real history is?
Well, not the real one, but the given one for that day, right?
Yeah, right.
Who knows? It's fluid now, dude. It's like quantum. History is in superposition. It's only once you observe it, you find out to your absolute shock and dismay that things were not as they once were. And that sounds weird, but I've still not come across anyone that knows Black Tom Island. Not yet, anyway.
No.
So where now, gents? Where now? We've got so many tabs open here. I mean, you had another Area 51 story, did you not, Joe?
Let's see here. What do we have in the grab bag? No. Area 51. I think we went over both of them, haven't we?
It was this one here. Mystery amid claims of significant testing.
There we are. Okay, so yeah, this is interesting. And of course, it comes from our good friends over at the Express.
Your good friends.
Of course, are just an extremely reputable organization with extremely reputable news. And so this says Area 51 mystery amid claims of significant testing at the secretive U.S. base. I guess we'll find out soon enough when the Storm Area 51 people go and take possession of the base, because I'm sure that's going to happen. Says here, it says called Notice to Airmen, or NOTAM. The document details any areas within the Nevada Test and Training Range that are off limits to any air traffic. A notice given last week wrote off 750 square miles of land that lies near a number of significant practice targets. It includes a training post for joint terminal attack controllers and other integration purposes and exercises. It says here the restricted area also encompasses Desert Dry Lake, which sits just 30 miles away from Area 51. Now, the initial set of NOTAMs stretched from August 8th until August the 12th. In addition to this, Janet Flights, a secret airline that only serves Area 51, were spotted flying out to the area and surrounding installations. Now, this is thought to suggest that a major test or series of events is taking place. The region, of course, is thought to be used for testing out secret or sensitive weaponry. And because of its remote location and highly secretive nature, it appears the perfect place to carry out dry runs. Now, the B-21 stealth bomber, that's where they would do like testing for that. And even though its official first flight is scheduled for June 2021, the Nevada site could be the test area for prototypes and things like that. So that's certainly a possibility. And of course, it could simply be routine testing.
Yep.
That's going on there. Or it just could be, UFOs. Now, ufologist James Abbott says too many people have made allegations against Area 51 for the military site to be a routine one. He added, if blank, and it's a very big blank, the U.S. government has come into possession of some incredible material or technology which could have originated or could not have originated on this planet. Area 51 would be the top of anyone's list for researching. that stuff. Now, last month, over 1 million people signed up on Facebook for storming Area 51. We just talked about that.
Yep.
Lincoln County Sheriff Kerry Lee told CNN ahead of the event, the town of Rachel's too small to handle 2 million people. He said, I can't believe it's gotten this much attention. We deal with this on a weekly basis, but nothing to this scale. So, yeah, I mean, are they testing things out there? All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Is there secretive stuff that's happening? Absolutely. Does it go down 50 stories? Yeah, probably. You're not storming it. It ain't happening.
No.
Yeah.
Nah.
Maybe the increased activity is just them preparing for all the morons that are going to go out there and try to storm it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got so cynical in our old age, guys, haven't we? I'm so worn by it all.
Yeah. No doubt.
Absolutely,
yes.
Man.
You've demonstrated that quite well, trying to debunk my story during the
Not
break.
debunk, just stress test it, Scott. That's all. You should stress test any system.
Is that what we're calling it now? Stress testing?
Yeah, when it's a live kind of testing on air, if we're going down the right rabbit hole or not. And hey, there's many's a wrong rabbit hole that still takes you to some really good woo. Absolutely. Absolutely, my good man. Yes. So Joe's looking very studious. He's looking like he's going through the grab bag. Either that or the sexy brain is giving him instructions as to the agenda for later.
No, it says here, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay, then.
Let's go to Metro. It says here,
God.
Facebook is opening 5 cafes.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? Special deal. They're going to be offering free privacy checks. That's right.
Oh, wow.
Just for you.
Nice.
That's It says Facebook's about to open cafes around London and the UK, designed, of course, to promote privacy. Anyone who visits Zuck's coffee bars will be given a free privacy checkup. And that's to check that they're not oversharing sensitive information with everyone on the internet. That's right. The pop-up shop will open inside The Attendant on Great Eastern Street between August 28th and August 29th. Cafes will also open at sites across the UK, including the Union Brew Lab Coffee in Edinburgh.
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 Burgh spelt B-O-U-R-G-H.
He's calling it Edinburgh again.
Why do I?
No.
How about Edinburgh, man? All right, now anyway, there. VP of Facebook Northern Europe said, it's normal to worry about who can see the things you share on social media, but not everyone knows what they can do about it. So that's why we've made customizing your privacy settings on Facebook quick and easy. Ching! At our pop-up cafes, you can get a help and advice on how to change your privacy settings, and all in the time it takes to make a cup of coffee.
Wow. Just wow, man. I've seen this one today as well. This is a weird one, right? It's about apps. It's about similar kind of stuff. But get this, folks, right? Good, very, very loyal listener, good friend sent me this link today. What 3 words? The app that can save your life. So it says here, police have urged everyone to download a smartphone app they say has already saved several lives. What is it and how does it work?
Got a message coming in.
Oh, we do. Oh, nice. Facial recognition coming to the UK soon. You see, this is the thing. They've been trialing that for years. There's already been a court case challenging it in the UK as well. Bilderberg 2013, facial recognition was on the go. They've had it trialed up here as well. If this is them just admitting that it's going like over the whole thing now, and I'll have to read that out because we don't have the alert on this screen. So it's Bison from the chat room says, facial recognition coming soon. I'll check that out in just a moment. Says here,
but isn't it already there, though?
It is, because there's already a court case. The guys had to take I think it was the Met police. They were, I think off the top of my head, they were garnishing, like, they were testing the facial recognition at It was like one of these what's the carnival in London and the big carnival? It's not Nottingham. It's some carnival in London anyway. It's a big festival thing. And I think that's where the court case stemmed from. There was also another one in Wales, I believe. And the thing is...
It wasn't in Edinburgh?
It certainly wasn't in Edinburgh. Edinburgh, I'm telling you, man. Back to this story, and then we'll check out the facial rec, right? Kicked, converged, soccer. These three randomly chosen words saved Jess Tinsley and her friends after they got lost in a forest on a dark, wet night. They'd planned a 5-mile circular stroll through the 4,900-acre woodland Hemsterley Forest, and that's in County Durham, on Sunday evening. But after 3 hours, they were hopelessly lost. We were in a field and we had no idea where we were, the 24-year-old care worker from Newton Aycliffe said. It was absolutely horrendous. I was joking about it and trying to laugh because I knew if I didn't laugh, I would cry. And then at 10:30 in the evening, they found a spot where the phone signal, or with phone signal, they dialed 999. Get this, one of the first things the call handler told us to do was download the What 3 Words app, Miss Tinsley said. I've never heard of it. Well, within a minute of its download, the police said they knew where the group was, and the soaked and freezing walkers were swiftly found by Teesdale and Weardale Search and Mountain Rescue Team. I've told everyone I know to download this app. You never know when you're going to get lost and need it. Now, What 3 Words essentially points to a very specific location. Its developers divided the world into 57 trillion squares, each measuring 3 by 3, or that's 10 foot by 10 foot.
Wow.
And each having a unique, randomly assigned 3-word address. For example, the door of 10 Downing Street is slurs this shark. Quite apt, actually. While the area across the road where the press congregate is stage pushy nuns. It was born out of the company founder Chris Sheldrick's postal-related problems growing up in rural Hertfordshire. Our postcode did not point to our house, he said. We got used to getting post meant for other people or having to stand in the road to flag down deliveries. 10 years in the music industry, which involved blah, blah, blah. But what they're actually saying is, right, that if you have this app, you won't even need to be able to get a phone signal because you should be able to get it off like your GPRS. You're kind of like not even 3G. But my point is, if you're getting that basic signal, is your GPS not working anyway?
Yeah.
This is a weird one. It's weird.
It is a weird one, yeah.
And I would love to know when you're installing this app, not that I'm going to, just what else you allow access to. Nothing for free, right?
Yeah, nothing is ever for free.
So the first thing that popped in my head whenever you said this, I was like, the authorities are recommending everyone download this.
Yeah, it's actually
Not
the police.
good.
Exactly, it's just the police. It says, if people do not have the app, the emergency services can send a text message containing a web link to their phones. But that requires a signal, and 85% of the country is said to have a good or a 4G connection. The app does not need a phone signal to tell someone their 3-word location, however. Say there was a group up a mountain and one got injured. They haven't got any signal to call for help, but they can still find out their 3-word location. Someone from the group can take that down and tell emergency services, who then know exactly where to go to find the injured person. Well, it'd be the same as like asking the person on the damn phone who's managed to get the signal, where'd you just come from? Well, I'm up the top of said mountain. I don't get it. There's like, this is a Trojan horse. I advise people, don't install this until you've really looked into it, because if the police are telling you to put it on there, sure, maybe it has saved some people's lives, but I don't know, folks. I don't know. Yeah.
It's kind of a bad selling point, if you ask me. It's just like...
Strange it's coming from the BBC as well, dude. It's coming from there as well. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't see how it how it does anything any different than just your GPS location on your phone, right? Because you can get a very specific GPS coordinate, and it pretty much is within a couple of feet of, around you. So I don't know. I don't see what the benefit of this is, really, to tell you the truth. And if you don't have a signal, then how the hell is it putting how the hell are they receiving the information from this app? You obviously have to have some signal, and if you have enough signal for the app to work, then you have enough signal for the call. GPS to work.
Exactly, dude.
I don't know.
There's something weird about it.
Yeah, something weird. There's something really fishy about this. And going back to the whole Facebook opening up these
these barista cops.
Yeah, you know what? I was sitting there thinking
privacy checks.
Maybe this is their way into dipping their toe into eventually when they start offering people Zuck bucks, right?
Free coffee.
Yeah, they're like, you can use your Zuck bucks at any one of our barista locations and get yourself a cup of coffee, or get yourself a nice sausage biscuit in the morning or something.
Or if you've been playing the game long enough, you can have the Nibiru option on your own little universe. But we're going to be back after the break. We've got a story that the chat over in YouTube want us to get into. It's facial recognition in the UK. So we'll get into that. We'll be right back. Okay.
Interestingly enough, I just sent you an article too from The Guardian about an entrepreneur who launched a fashion line to defeat facial recognition.
Well, we've got. I just want to apologize to DJ Bison. We were on this screen at the time, and I've not had the alert box set up because this is
right.
I didn't have that set up, so that's why that didn't get read out, dude. It was just wrong page, wrong time. But you'd mentioned the whole facial recognition thing. I've got a story here about it when we come back after the break. But by the look of it, it says facial recognition technology, an epidemic in the UK. This is from Big Brother
here
Watch.
too, by the way.
Yeah. MPs have said authorities should stop trials of facial recognition technology until a legal framework is set up. And it was over in Hong Kong. See how people are getting a bit party kind of minded over there lately and things. You see that they're using lasers. You can see how they're using lasers to disrupt the cameras and things.
Yeah.
There's going to be...
burn them out. You can burn them out.
There's going to be people that come up with ways around this. And like the story you mentioned...
There's always a workaround.
Yeah. But that's one thing about humans, eh? Whatever they throw at us, there's always somebody out there with the ingenuity, the nous to think of that workaround, that life hack,
Hold on, I got something funny about that. I'll look it up while you guys.
Kristen
while you're doing
back.
that, I've got The Guardian.
Nice.
That says the fashion line designed to trick surveillance cameras. That's right. Adversarial fashion garments are covered in license plates aimed at bamboozling a device's database.
Well, that means you got to walk about wearing license plates.
It's very stylish. Automatic license plate readers, which use network surveillance cameras and simple image recognition to track movements of cars around the city, may have met their match. That's right, in the form of a t-shirt or a dress or a hoodie. The anti-surveillance garments were revealed at the DEF CON cybersecurity conference in Las Vegas on Saturday by the hacker and fashion designer Kate Rose, who presented the inaugural collection of her adversarial fashion line. Rose credits a conversation with a friend, the Electronic Frontier Foundation researcher Dave Moss, for inspiring the project. Quote, he mentioned that the readers themselves are not very good, she said. They're already reading in things like picket fences and other junk. I thought that if they are fooled by a fence, then maybe I could take a crack at it. Now, to humanize, Rose's Fourth Amendment t-shirt contains the words of the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution in bold yellow letters. The amendment, which protects Americans from unreasonable searches and seizures, has been an important defense against many forms of government surveillance in 2012. For instance, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it prevented police departments from hiding GPS trackers on cars without a warrant. But to an automated license plate reader or ALPR system, the shirt is a collection of license plates, and they'll get added to the license plate reader's database just like any others it sees. The intention is to make deploying that sort of surveillance less effective, more expensive, and harder to use without human oversight.
Stand by, Joe. We're about to bring back TFR. So all you YouTubers, we're about to bring back the network. Stand by, and I'll bring it in. You know how I like to play that whole kind of network roulette. I'm trying to time it so we just get the end of the music and we just get in there. Trying to time it right. We'll get it one of these times. I think we'll go for it very, very soon. Oh, the anticipation. Here we go. Hour number 3 right here on today's Freaky Friday, and we've not heard him for a while. Scotty Lopez, give him a kick up the bum, will you? You see, Joe, you see, the big man, he knew exactly. You like that?
Of course.
And through the break, welcome back everyone on TFR. 1 hour to go. Remember, coming up after us, we've got Brent Thomas. He'll take you right through that paranormal portal. But during the break, we were getting into the topic of facial recognition, CCTV, and Joe, oh, wow. What a novel idea this is.
So this hacker launched her own clothing line. Her name is Kate Rose, and basically it is California license plates that each word is a part of the Fourth Amendment, and it basically says the Fourth Amendment. You can get it in a T-shirt and dresses and hoodies and all this, with the idea of muddling up facial recognition, or not facial recognition, the license plate readers. Now, interesting too, at this same convention, they also had clothing that defeats facial recognition and infrared. Oftentimes they'll put like a thin layer of Mylar in the clothing, and that basically protects you or prevents the release of heat, minimizes it, so your heat signature is a lot smaller, and you can be mistaken for, say, like an animal, or like a small you have a different heat signature, so you can actually like go and take on Predator at that point.
Nice, dude. But yeah, we had a question about. On you go, Scott.
Well, I was gonna say I have something quite amusing here, and this is actually a fairly low-tech way that was stumbled upon of defeating facial recognition. So are you guys familiar with juggalos?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yes, the fans of the Insane Clown Posse. It turns out that juggalo makeup blocks facial recognition technology.
How do you like that?
But
because
it makes you look like one.
A lot of these pigments have metal in them, and it can also reduce your heat signature as well.
Yeah.
So not only on top of facial recognition, it can also change the way you look to these infrared cameras. Like
you're a headless dude. That would freak somebody out with a flare cam, wouldn't it?
Easy.
But Scott, the trade-off with this method is the fact that every time I passed like a shop window or I caught a glimpse of myself, I'd absolutely crap my pants, dude. I don't like these faces, man.
Well, I mean, maybe you need to take up listening to ICP and
look at this dude. Look at the dude on the right-hand side, man. He just looks like some kind of big hairy. And I don't know, dude. That's not human anymore at that point. That's a freaky dude.
That's Violent J. And, Shaggy 2 Dope on the other side.
Yeah, it's just like he's got that like kind of growth all the way around the outside of his like painted face. I don't know, man. That's disturbing.
All I know is that if people started doing that en masse, it would be like the resurrection. Because if you look at any period films from, say, the Revolutionary War time, 1700s, 1800s, women like literally painted their faces white, and that paint typically had lead in it and all sorts of stuff, that would tear their skin to shreds and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that would be kind of like a reincarnation of that. You know how we always say like things are cyclical? Could you imagine if we went back to, painting our faces white? Why not wear wigs too to deter it? We'll all wear the white powdered wigs.
Hey, I'll also mention that this isn't just limited to juggalos.
Right.
If you're into black metal and you like to paint your face in corpse paint, hey, that'll work. If you're a fan of Kiss, go for it. So yeah, if you're just a clown in general, right, Kev? You know how we love our clowns.
Oh,
Just a clown.
we sure do love we love our clowns, man.
Maybe think about taking up a hobby or even a career as a clown, and you'll be off the grid then, man. You'll be set.
I don't know, there's something really disturbing about it. There is. I don't know, I'll never get over that clown thing. And then we had, of course, Bison, DJ Bison, long time listener and viewer to the show. And again, I apologize for your message not being read out. That was my oversight. I never clicked the right button beforehand. Facial recognition technology, quote, an epidemic in the UK, says Big Brother Watch. And then the members of Parliament have said that authorities should stop trials of facial recognition technology until a legal framework is set up. Facial recognition tech has been used in shopping centres, museums and conference centres around the UK, according to a civil liberties group. Big Brother Watch said the Meadowhall shopping centre in Sheffield had used the technology in a trial, and that it had also been used at Liverpool's World Museum and Birmingham's Millennium Point conference centres. It comes after an investigation was launched this week into the use of the controversial technology at King's Cross in London. Quote, this is an epidemic of facial recognition in the UK, said Big Brother Watch Silky Carlo. She said, we now know that millions of innocent people will have had their faces scanned with this surveillance without knowing about it, whether the police or by private companies. And the company that owns the Meadowhall site, British Land, said in a statement, we do not operate facial recognition at any of our assets. However, over a year ago, we conducted a short trial at Meadowhall in conjunction with the police, and all the data was deleted immediately after the trial, after it was put into the data sets to train the AI. Come on. We're not that stupid, are we? This was obviously them collecting data to train the AI on the facial recognition. So it says, World Museum told Sky News it had used the technology during an exhibition at China's Terracotta Warriors in 2018 because there was a heightened security risk. Got to keep everything safe. Even the Terracotta Army has to be safe, guys. It said it was put in place after seeking advice from police and counter-terror advisors. Yeah, because when you're a museum showing the Terracotta Army, the first thing you do is think, what did the counter-terror police have in mind? And it was clearly communicated by signage around the venue. Working in security, right? I had to get a license to do the CCTV side of things. And that's a big thing, you know. You have to have signage up. It's like the...
Yeah, there's probably a lot of requirements.
Dude, it's like the terms and agreements when you join Facebook or when you download an app. You know, it's one of those things. It's got to be there, but how many times do people pay attention to it, you know? So these signs, they are everywhere. Usually they're just in the kind of places where they're just in sight, but deniable enough to keep them out the way, you know? And then legally you're covered. Now, I never used facial recognition in my time, but I know that spaceship command center that they've got all of the smart city Glasgow stuff going into, they've got the persons of interest software, which comes from Israel. Now, Pippa King, she's the one to go and watch on that. It's not been switched on yet, so they say. So, yeah, this is coming to places near all of us. Whether this is going to slow it down or not, you know, the legal framework for it, we're still going to be getting our faces scanned and we're still going to be in facial recognition. It's inevitable. Truly inevitable, I think, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's going to be ingrained in society at some point because
almost like the DNA database,
We've got a story on that next as well.
And it's not just going to be it's not just going to be the authorities using it, law enforcement and stuff like that. It's going to be private companies utilizing it. Everybody's going to be utilizing it, right? You're going to walk into a store or a shop or something, and the security camera will also double as a facial recognition camera that they're going to be able to scan your face and then trace you back to your social media profiles, and then from that point they'll be able to pull up your social media database, right, and look at all of the things that interest you as far as ads are concerned and all of that, and then they'll be able to tailor things to you in the store based on your facial recognition because they tie it back to your profile pictures and everything on your social media. So you can see how they're going to utilize all of this stuff, and like I said, it's going to become ingrained in society. You're not going to be able to go anywhere without your face being scanned at some point. When you're entering a place of business or something, that's just where we're going, man, for better or worse. And, of course I think it's for worse, but that's just the road we're going down.
Agreed. Big time. Haven't seen anything yet. No, you start to add in the augmented reality in people's profiles and things above their head when you've got your lens on. You ain't seen nothing yet.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the augmented reality, that's all going to be based on facial recognition. It's just like you said, you're going to be walking down the road and everybody's face is going to be scanned, and immediately their profile, a little blurb of their profile is going to pop up above their head so you know who they are. And
it'd have to be like biometric data.
Yeah, and you've got Mr. Mensa. He's bang on here. Individual personalized adverts, RE Minority Report. Exactly that. Exactly that. It's everything we see online that'll be transposed over the top of the real world in a digital form, whether it's an eye lens, whether it's glasses, whether you're just looking...
Hologram.
To start with, I think it'll be the camera on your phone. You can, that way, like Pokemon Go stuff, that kind of thing. I think, anyway. What a brilliant way to get us all to map out that mirror world, that virtual world, eh? Send kids out into the real world chasing Pokemon everywhere. And what are they doing?
That's right.
They're taking that street view that's going to be used to stitch together the mirror world that they talk about. And then Minecraft, they've got an augmented reality game coming out this year. It's going to be another one,
And then, of course, I was talking about DNA databases. And according to Stat News, they say top U.S. medical centers rolling out DNA sequencing clinics for healthy and often wealthy clients. That's interesting. It says here, seizing on the surging popularity of at-home DNA testing kits, top academic medical institutions are opening clinics that promise to probe much deeper into your DNA. If you're willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars out of your own pocket to learn about disease risks that may be lurking in your genes. Genomic sequencing programs that cater to apparently healthy adults have been started in the past few years at the Mayo Clinic, the University of California, San Francisco, and the Hudson Alpha Institute for Biotechnology, a nonprofit research institution in Alabama. Now, two top Boston hospitals are getting into the potentially lucrative business. Brigham's Women's Hospital on Friday unveiled a new preventive genomics clinic that will offer a menu of options for a genetic workup with price tags running from $250 to $2,950, depending on how many genes are analyzed. It's the first program of its kind that will offer sequencing to children in addition to adults. And next month, Massachusetts General Hospital plans to launch its own clinic for adults that will offer elective sequencing at a similar price range as the Brigham. Now, by scouring hundreds or thousands of genes, far more than most consumer genetic companies, representatives from these clinics told Stat that in a small fraction of patients, they're helping diagnose mild genetic diseases as well as turn up markers of elevated risk for conditions both common and rare. The test results allow clinicians to offer further guidance to patients, whether that means encouraging them to take proactive steps such as getting a preventive mastectomy or counseling them to be more diligent about a screening that was recommended anyway. Quote, I think there's just more and more interest from patients and families, not because of 23andMe and the like, but because there's just an understanding that if you can find out information about your health before you become sick, then you have an opportunity as physicians to do something to help you get better. Says Dr. David Bick, the clinical geneticist who directs the elective genome program at Hudson Alpha. Close to 50 adults have paid each $7,000 for whole genome sequencing and interpretation since Hudson Alpha launched the offering in 2016. Dr. Robert Green, a medical geneticist leading the new clinic at the Brigham, is candid about the limitation of advanced sequencing programs. He says, quote, it's clearly not been demonstrated to be cost effective to promote this on a societal basis, he said. It's evident, too, he said, that such sequencing leads to pricey follow-up testing. So the question that's hard to answer is whether there's a long-term benefit that justify those healthcare costs, whether it's the sequencing itself, the physician's visit, and any downstream testing that's stimulated will be justified by the situations where you can find and prevent disease. Now, I can tell you that for the most part, insurers do not cover genomic sequencing. It says insurers sometimes will cover it when there's a clear medical reason for it, such as people with a long family history of cancer, which is not necessarily true. Most insurers will deny that. By contrast, insurers generally refuse to cover the elective sequencing offered by the clinics sprouting up at top academic medical centers. There's not enough strong evidence yet to indicate that apparently healthy people derive widespread benefits. Now, the results is that the new clinics generally serve only those who can afford to pay cash. That worries some in the medical community, which I don't know why, because that's actually the way things are actually moving now, with insurance paying less and less. Says the idea of genomic sequencing is only going to be accessible to the wealthy, well-educated patrons who can pay out of pocket is anathema to the goals of the publicly funded Human Genome Project and creates new disparities in our healthcare system. This is according to Jonathan Berg, a genetics professor at the University of North Carolina. So as more preventive genomics clinics open their doors, there's a report that the demand is surging. The Mayo Clinic offers it at their flagship sites in Minnesota, Arizona, and Florida as part of programs that are aimed at business executives. The genomics offering soft launch in 2014 has gradually attracted more interest each year, but demand really started to take off last year after sequencing was added to a menu of options for executives interested in a medical workup. Because they're not paying for it. That's why. Because the company pays for it. And other clinics, though, have seen less interest. Matter of fact, the University of California, San Francisco, they opened theirs in 2017. A few hundred people have paid to get genomics panels ranging from $300 to $800, or for more thorough exams, genome sequencing ranging from about $2,000 to $2,500. That's a pricey price tag, you know, and so what does it do? What they can do with this technology is they can see that perhaps you have, whether it be like any sort of genetic mutations that are causing any sort of ailments, and they can tailor medicines directly to these mutations. And is there some benefit to it? Yeah, there's probably some, but it's still way too costly, guys, to do, only because insurance doesn't cover it oftentimes, like 90% of the time. And it is extremely expensive to do. Like,
I mean, this just sounds like something that, this is another example of something that the elites would have access to as opposed to the average person, right?
Well, because they have cash.
Yes, exactly.
They have the money to spend on it.
It's like the designer baby thing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just something that this groundbreaking medical technologies and stuff like that the average person would probably never have access to, but your millionaires, your billionaires, your people up at the top, that's nothing to them, right? They have the disposable cash to do stuff like that, so they'll have access to all of that stuff.
Interestingly enough, the brain had it done like 3 or 4 years ago, and one thing that she suffers from, she can't drink alcohol, and we never knew why. But one of the results of this genetic testing that was done was we figured out why that was, and she has what's called an MTHFR gene mutation, and they actually call it it's called MTHFR, but if you kind of spell that out, it's the MFer, and it is an MFer of a gene mutation, because what it does, her body can't methylate alcohol, so it's poison to her, and as a result, the whole methylation process doesn't happen. So she actually has to take a supplement in order to do that. Very much like diabetes, people with diabetes have to take insulin. So she has to take something called L-methylfolate. And she still can't drink that stuff, but it helps her metabolize that kind of stuff, so that she doesn't, because what ends up happening is she gets like horribly sick and stomach cramps, and it's just awful. It's awful. But we would have never known had she not got that sequenced.
Well, and that's good to find that out, because even if she's not drinking alcohol like recreationally, there are some food items and stuff like that might have small traces of alcohol in it, right? If they're using cooking sherry or something in it, and it doesn't completely burn off, then that would be an issue for her, right?
Yeah, and she can't take folic acid either, because she can't metabolize it. She can't methylate it, or whatever the heck it is, and that ends up causing nutrient deficiencies, and in and of itself, it leads to health issues. So that's the interesting thing about this is, yes, there is some added benefit to it. However, it's extremely expensive to have done. And, that's the question is there enough value added for you to just go get it done? And my answer to that is, unless you have some sort of ailment that you can't get answers to the traditional way, then yeah, it's certainly an avenue to explore. But I guess I would preface that with, don't get your hopes up so much on the type of information that you get back. There may be some value to it, but what we came to find out was that it wasn't as specific as you would think it would be.
Yeah,
there was a lot of vanilla in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it's an emerging field of medical technology and stuff like that. So I think as time goes on, they'll be able to maybe nail things down more specifically. But for now, you're right. You get more of the kind of a vanilla answer, and it's not as specific as you would think it would be.
And then what do they do with that information once they have it? Who do they sell it to? Where does it go? You're telling me they destroy it? Baloney. That stuff goes somewhere, and that's a lot of people now, because of this Beyond 23andMe and these other places. You see all these cold cases getting cracked now because you have people giving their DNA over, whether it be because they're going to those websites or because of whatever else,
Usually it's a family member that's, they find there's like some familial kind of DNA link.
Yeah, and then it flags a database or whatever.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the cops are knocking at your door for a cold case murder that happened 50 years ago.
It's like not that I'm like some kind of master criminal or anything, but what's the point in doing anything anymore? You know, before the CCTV, you used to have the bank robbers, stuff like that.
Get away with murder
Nowadays,
anymore.
exactly, dude, exactly. You can't even say the wrong word without getting caught. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, we often say there's always a workaround, but in this case, science and forensics have come so far that I wouldn't try it. All these jabroni heads. Oh yeah, kill your wife and whatever because you got a new squeeze on the side. Really? Really?
You think about it somewhere, right? Be it Bluffdale or someplace where the super AI sits, even if they're just testing it, at some point, it's worked out exactly who everyone is committing crimes and who is going to commit a crime.
Exactly.
And I know pre-crime is really controversial, but I'm not saying roll it out and start jailing people. But technologically, I mean, optimization of data, it kind of predicts. It has this predictive capability. It's just one of the kind of fortunate or unfortunate side effects, depending what kind of side of the aisle you kind of fall on this stuff. But imagine it, Scott. They know who all the bad people are. It can already solve everything. But then, of course, they would have to admit to us what we already know, that we're listening to absolutely everything. We're watching absolutely everything. And at some level, Scott, the data is out there for them to do that.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, there's already so much for them to work with, right? Just like you said, that they already know, man. They can figure it out. And when we get back from the break, I've got a pretty messed up story about this whole DNA.
Talking of breaks, there we go, folks. We'll be right back. One segment to go. Freaky Friday live simulcast. Wow. There we go. Scott, I was noticing in the chat room from YouTube, big shout out to all you YouTubers out there. This is really weird. And obviously, I'm very, very conscious of the fact Freaky Friday, our home's TFR. I want to thank everyone over here on YouTube. Wow. Nearly 200 of you all the way through the show. And it was Kristen and King Sweet. And I like to have a laugh with King Sweet. He likes to push my buttons about the royal family and things. But he was talking about an earthquake 3 miles north of Hutchinson, Scott.
3 miles north of Hutchinson,
I think it was
Kansas.
I think it was a 4.2. I'll scroll back up the chat room here.
Ooh, when did that happen?
4.2 yesterday. Kansas, and he was saying that I think it's his son has just gone to college there. And 3 miles outside of Hutchinson or Hutchins, yesterday.
I can look that up. I wonder what time that happened. Like what time of the day that occurred.
Well, King, if you can put that in for us, but I'll give people a shout out. We've got Hayden in there, Stavros, Mr. Mensa, Annabelle Lee 100, John Nelson. We're scrolling up here, Kristen, Mr. Mensa. It's all the same people talking. Don't be shy, folks. And remember, don't be like me and have it on top chat. Have it on live chat. What a rookie mistake. No wonder I'm thinking people aren't chatting in there. Probably missed half of it, Scott. But scrolling up here, see if there's anyone else talking. We've got Lisa. Big shout out to Lisa, one of the mods in there. Wow, it's just the usual suspects talking in there tonight. Yeah. So this is going to be something I do more often, folks. We've got Roxy. Roxy, one of our members, a KBS member in there. Much love to Roxy. She says, are we done? I've been babysitting my 3-year-old granddaughter and jumping back on and off the feed. Roxy, we have got one more segment for you to enjoy right here. So, we've got somebody called Chevelo Essay. Chevelos? I don't know. It's a good one. Dave Bell. Big shout out to Dave. Thank you for dropping some links earlier. Dave, that's really appreciated. And, of course, we've got Nana in there. Can't forget to give Nana a shout out, definitely. And, of course, I was going to say everyone over at the TFR chat room, Scott, but we're not in TFR yet. This is so confusing.
It's wild, man. It's wild. And hey, I pulled up a little information on the earthquake. It was a 4.2 that happened 3 miles from Hutchinson, and it happened Friday morning. So that would have been this morning. I don't know. I didn't feel anything over here.
You closed it, Scott? Are you close to there though?
No, well, Hutchinson is more in the middle of Kansas and I'm in eastern Kansas. But we do have the Flint Hills that kind of go between us. So maybe the Flint Hills kind of absorbed some of the shock. So we didn't feel maybe much of it or feel any of it over here. But
well, we've got Chevrolet. I don't know how you pronounce that, but quakes all over when you see the Dutch Since reports. Everyone on Freaky Friday is a Dutch Since fan. We always tell people to go and watch Dutch. We kind of we pass the buck sometimes, Scott, don't we? And it's not that but Dutch is the man. It's like if you want somebody to talk, if you want somebody to talk to earthquakes, Dutch your man. Whereas Scotty, more the storm guy, and I'm watching the clock. Let's bring back the network. Here we go. Oh, Freaky Friday has been off the charts. Yeah, I've got the timing down now, Scott. It only took me, if it was Russian roulette. Oh, play him again, Scotty. I drowned him out there, dude. I apologize. Wookie, let me just say really sorry. And after the show, when the cameras are off and the lights down low. Don't worry, Scott. I'm not going to tamper with a Wookie, man. I'm not that bad. But we were talking about earthquake. Well, a little rumble close to you, and you didn't know about it, dude.
Nah, sometimes these things happen, and it depends on where they're located and kind of, how the energy transfers through the ground. Like, there was a 4.9 that happened in Oklahoma, and we felt it up here in the Topeka area, but this one happened actually much closer. It was a 4.2, which, it's a little bit weaker, but I didn't feel anything this morning. They said it happened early in the morning, or in the morning. I don't know. The morning can span anywhere between, midnight and noon the next day. So that's kind of a broad brush for them to say, oh, well, it just happened in the morning. Well, I kind of wanted an actual time on that. But I didn't feel anything over here. But, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. We've had a lot of fracking earthquakes that have happened in Oklahoma and Kansas before. And, as that activity really picked up, I would say, during the 2000s, within the past, 15 years or so, that's, all of that fracking activity really increased in Oklahoma. They just started going crazy with the fracking, and it started causing these earthquakes, right? I mean, we used to never talk about earthquakes in the middle of the country. They used to just be like a super, super rare event. And the only time, anyone ever talked about earthquakes was, when the I keep forgetting the name of the fault that had a huge earthquake back in the 1800s, and it actually caused the Mississippi River to flow backwards. But that was the only time time people really talked about earthquakes kind of in the middle of the country. And so now it's something that we have to deal with, and it's generally man-made earthquakes. It's caused by a lot of the fracking going on, and it's kind of weakening the plate. For those of you out there who follow Dutch Sense, we were talking about him during the break. He talks about how we have a seismic plate boundary that goes through the middle of the country. It's called the craton, the North American craton, and we've been punching holes into the surface of the craton ever since we've been doing this fracking. And you got to think of it as poking holes in a piece of paper or poking holes in a piece of cardboard. You keep poking holes in a certain spot, it's going to weaken that spot, right? And so, that's what's been going on here. And that's why we've been seeing this increased activity with earthquakes and stuff. But yeah, very interesting. I didn't feel it. But I'm sure anybody around Hutchinson probably felt it. So,
yeah, I remember doing the whole fracking thing as well over here. We had a series of quakes around Blackpool, and they put a stop to it. They're like, whoa, no more. And the fracking thing over here is a big anti-fracking movement. I remember Billy Hayes coming onto the show as well with Ilana Freeland. Billy Hayes is somebody that, if you haven't heard this guy, really is worth taking the time to go and check him out, because everyone talks about Bernard Eastland when it comes to HARP, and rightly so. He was the guy that came up with it. But Billy Hayes is one of the engineers that was in the field with Eastland when he was trialing the stuff. And he was saying that with some of the stuff they dropped down the wells as well, some of the metal particulates and stuff like that, it's like some kind of mix they put down there. He was saying that they can actually use some of them as like a ground station or a grounding element for some of these scalar waves and some of the kind of the weather warfare stuff that we talk about, space fence as well. Now, I don't know how legitimate that is. Joe, maybe you want to add to that. But, I mean, the point being, when it comes to all of this stuff, you know, this is how the world works. Weather wars, fracking, everything's multifaceted. There's so many different layers at once, and you can't separate the earthquakes going on from like the weather and all the tectonic weapons, weather weapons. It's all one big shenanigans, man.
And it's all wars being fought without a shot being fired. You know, these are all things that you have to think about, is that all of these wars or all of these things, trade wars, weather wars, are all wars where, you know, we perceive war as army on one side, army on the other side, boom, 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 bang, bang. But most wars are not fought that way. Matter of fact, most wars are fought via economic means.
Psychological
Warfare, huge. And now people have been weaponized.
And you think of the psychological element.
Movements.
Yeah, you think of the psychological element, Joe. You can demoralize a nation and basically walk in as opposed to having to invade it, you know?
Absolutely. Look at with all these shifting populations, what that does. You know, you basically declare war on other countries by attacking their resources or demoralizing. Like I said, or like we have now, we have an economic war going on where you have a trade war, you have a currency war, you have a resource war. I mean, everybody, it's a battle just about everywhere you look. But most don't perceive it that way because there's no shots fired.
Yeah.
But does that necessarily mean that there's no war going on?
I mean, I know as soon as you say these two words in the same kind of breath that everyone thinks that the big dude in Texas, right? But there's information warfare going on, and we're all in the midst of it. Every single one of you out there tonight, either listening to this or watching this, if you're in any way, shape, or form on social media, Twitter, Facebook, if you listen to, listening to this, listening to other shows like this, there is information warfare going on. And that's very, very real. We got a little insight. And it's such an important kind of thing for people to watch The Great Hack, because that gives you the perfect example of what we're talking about here and how they're able to use it. In that situation, they're looking at elections, but you can take that big data and use it for whatever way you want. So it's so important, I think, Joe, that people watch that, because then you really do get an idea of this information warfare, and you add it to the likes of Lee Stranahan, who's exposing some of the characters that, you know, people really, they've become social media influencers, so people listen to them. But you come to find that they're participating in psyops as well. So we go back to, what was it, Sunstein? Cognitive infiltration? Wasn't that the term of it?
Yep.
There you go, man. Yeah. Big time. And there's another story. We'll probably cover it over the weekend on the stream, though. So what else we got in the grab bag? One thing I noticed from the YouTube chat room, and this is a place that really interests me, and it's down under. We're going back down under, folks, and this is probably one of the lesser talked about spy stations in the world. Pine Gap, down in Australia. You never heard of that, Joe?
Oh, yeah. No, yes, I have.
Yeah, because that's a joint US. It's like
right.
Anything that you have got going on in the South China Sea and stuff like that, that's your place there. But that's, you talk about Area 51. there's some stories that you can find about this place. Now, how many of them are true or not, I don't know.
Isn't there supposed to be some kind of a HARP array at Pine Gap?
It's
Or is that another place?
well, they've got that kind of thing going on there, which could be some kind of new fandangle thing. But they do have an array out in Australia. Yeah, they've got quite a major one. I can try and find it in a second.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that was where that was located, or if
I don't think it's the same place exactly, Scott. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's like Area 51. There's many different bits spread over miles, and you're talking about in the outback, you know. So, what goes on there? We're probably listening to this show. They're probably taking in the data from shows like this, and the AI's listening, folks.
I mean, what a perfect place to put a secret military base, right? I mean, the outback. The outback is very similar to the desert southwest of the United States. You know, just vast nothingness, harsh environment that nobody's going to really be out there poking and prying around, and so. Yep.
Looking for the ionospheric heater here over in Australia. Here's one contender. I don't know if that looks more like some kind of bombing thing or something, to be honest with you. Weird though. That's the thing with HARP, isn't it? Because HARP's just one of like many installations.
There's a lot of different ways that, a lot of different
a bajillion ways to skin the atmosphere, Joe.
Well, if you look at a lot of the modern stuff, they're not that same array. They're radomes, basically directional antennas that beam at a more concentrated and focused beam. Plus, you're not talking the same type of power that HARP was pushing either. Theirs is not 1 billion watts of power. HARP had its own power plant. So that's the other thing too. Unless those mobile platforms, or even Pine Gap has like a power plant, then I would be.
And that's just, or I was just gonna say, and plus, HARP, at least the HARP facility in Alaska, that's archaic technology,
Yeah.
That's when they were experimenting with it and proof of concept and testing it and all of that stuff. And that was what, 80s, 70s, 80s, when they were kind of starting.
They gave it over to the University of Alaska. So, they can continue using it. But
all of that technology has been scaled down, just like anything else, just like all technology, right? That has been scaled down, and now, when we talk about HARP and ionospheric heaters, we're talking about stuff that's probably scaled down on, it can be pulled on the back of a truck or floated on
either that or maybe even CubeSats. We've got these CubeSats as well. We're thinking do it from the ground. Right. You could probably do it from above.
Yeah, nanosats.
Yeah.
They have all sorts of different technology now. Everything like Scotty just said, it's spot on. Things have been scaled down on such a massive scale because, the technology's advanced, and now we have nanotechnology, and the materials science has been there've been great advances in material science to where we now have these types of material, these nanomaterials that much stronger, much lighter, and the ability to miniaturize much more, so.
Yep.
So with that said, you have like these nanosats that go up. Literally, you can fit these CubeSats in the palm of your hands. That's huge, considering when you think about payloads and getting these things into space. Now, instead of one trip being one satellite, a company could piggyback with other companies and split the cost of deploying satellites. I think that's one thing that SpaceX has done really well, is that they've been known to deploy multiple satellites.
It's funny you should bring this up, because just yesterday I was watching, I'm trying to scroll down for it here.
Yeah.
But it was a video from, is it Northman Group, or that?
Oh, Northrop Grumman.
Yeah, that's the one.
Northrop.
They were talking about exactly this, guys. The need for them to start to get into this delivery of and construction of the mini sats, because this is the way forward, and it shows you them doing it, and they've actually got their own kind of like rocket launch place where
There's a lot of,
Yeah.
you would be surprised, but there are a lot of private sector delivery vehicles springing up now for this because they know that this is the way of the future. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It's not just that. Even Virgin Galactic is designing a version of their what is it called? Whatever their glider is or whatever. It's a version of that to deploy satellites because there's just so much money in it.
It's a new space race, but whereas the space race before was between governments, the space race now is a corporate space race.
Because that's where the resources have shifted to.
Yeah, exactly.
There used to be support for that, until the 70s when Vietnam War is going on and then the energy crisis starts to hit. And then they tailor back, they scale back the lunar program, the Apollos, right? But
check this out, guys. We've got
something that was asked to me, and I don't know, maybe you guys can give an answer. If we want to go back to the moon so bad, why not just resurrect some of the old technology? Why not just build another Saturn V?
Yeah, exactly. I've actually wondered that too myself. It's like,
why can't we do that?
Just build a Saturn V, put modern computers on it, and let's go.
Look at this place here, man.
I forget how much it but when you adjust it for inflation, the Saturn V rocket ends up costing like a ton. It's an unbelievably ginormous rocket. I can't remember what the cost was, but it's significant. Oh yeah, that's their little hub for launching their
Virgin Galactic
industry.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, man.
It is. It's really, really posh.
Looks like you're driving into a butterfly, doesn't it? It looks kind of weird.
Yeah, but when you go in it, it's very, very gives you that airport feel. It really does.
Mm.
But it's interesting because it just doesn't go anywhere. It's a 90-minute flight. Unless you're going to make it a day of it, you go there to experience the ambiance of the spaceport in the middle of the desert with nothing else to do except do a suborbital flight into space.
Yeah,
2 minutes weightlessness.
That's for the public, dude. That's for the public. When everyone else isn't watching, there's regular shuttles going to the colonies on the backside of the moon, you see?
Oh, that's right. Pardon me. That's where they launch to the factory.
Uh-huh. Yeah, dude. See?
No bueno.
No, not happening. 10 minutes left, so come on. Where are we going for these 10 minutes?
I got something here. Listen to this. Bugatti.
Oh, it's not a patch on my yacht.
So, me personally, I would rather go with the yacht. But if you choose, let's just say you get seasick and you had $10 million. Now, they're only making 10 of these doggone things. But for $10 million a piece, you can get a Bugatti Centodieci. Now, the Centodieci is the most powerful Bugatti car yet at 1,600 horsepower. 1,600 horsepower. This thing is just an unbelievable car.
It's a tool, man.
They debuted it at Pebble Beach on Friday. A $10 million, 1,600 horsepower throwback to the 90s that sprints from 0 to 62 in 2.4 seconds. The French car maker is making a splash at Monterey's annual auto show. The Centodieci is the company's latest coach-built supercar commemorating Bugatti's 110th anniversary. Unlike the 18.7 million, let me send you the link.
I've got it, yeah.
You got it? Okay. Unlike the 18.7 million La Voiture Noire, which was built for grand touring, the Centodieci was built for speed. The company's making just 10, which feature Bugatti's 8-liter W16 engine. The company also added an extra air inlet to help cool the engine. Now,
it's got a flux capacitor as well, dude.
Apparently, it pays tribute to the EB110, the company's famous supercar of the 1990s. The La Voiture Noire, which literally translates to the black car, and a white Centodieci are both on display at the Quail, a motorsports gathering car show in Monterey, California on Friday. It says here, with Senadici, we pay homage to the EB110 super sports car, which was built in the 90s and is very much a part of our tradition and steeped history. Bugatti President Steve Winkleman said in a press release, the EB110 is the only Bugatti produced under former Italian owner Romano Ardioli at a factory in Campo Galliano, Italy, and not at the company's famous chateau in Montchalm, France.
Yes, the chateau indeed.
Chateau, if you will. Yeah.
Yes.
The Senadici races from 0 to 62 in 2.4 seconds, to 124 miles per hour in 6.1 seconds, and to 186 miles an hour in 13.1 seconds. Like its cousin, the Chiron, Bugatti electronically limited the top speed of the car to a paltry 236 miles an hour. Now, it's 44 pounds lighter than the Chiron. Bugatti did that with a lot of carbon fiber.
It's ridiculous, man. Can you imagine being in that thing?
It's 2.5 pounds per horsepower. With more than 200 pounds of downforce, Bugatti says it corners like the Bugatti Divo, a car built for cornering.
You're gonna have to like have the muscles of like a proper Formula One or driver to be able to go in corners in this thing, dude.
It's an unbelievable looking car.
Oh, it's lovely.
That's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing. They build these things to where you don't have to have the arms of a Formula One driver to go around the corner with these things.
You're right, dude. It's amazing some of the cars they've got nowadays, man. It really is. If again though, the money they're worth, man. All right, nice cars and things, but are they really worth the money that they charge that these rich dudes? Well, listen,
because they're all hand built, right? They're all hand built.
Okay.
Bugatti, listen to this. Bugatti made only one La Voiture Noire, which already has a buyer, even though the car won't be ready for at least 2.5 years.
I'm only pissed because I'll never be able to afford one, dude. I'm just jealous.
Just think about that. That car takes... It won't be ready for another 2.5 years. Whoa. I mean, that's crazy how long it takes them to build that. Bugatti's output is generally very limited. Listen to this. With the company producing just 70 cars a year, it only plans to make 500 of its Chiron supercar, and more than 400 of those were already spoken for as of April. So you're talking about 70 cars a year it puts out. 70. But at that price, I guess,
Oh, I'm with Stavros in the chat room. I want the Bumblebee out of Transformers. That's the one I want.
Right, me too.
Big time, man.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. $10 million for a car, or the yacht. I'm definitely going with the yacht.
I'm going with the yacht, and we'll bring the yacht up again just because that is some piece of gear,
That's one heck of a piece of cheater.
Hey, why do we have to choose between the two? Why not both? Why can't we just drive the car to the yacht? So,
Scott does have a point, Yeah, here's the funky thing here. Incredible £10 million super yacht, complete with submarines, 4x4 car, a chopper, and can sail to the ends of the world. Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, look at it, man!
And all for a bargain.
£10 million. I'm sorry, right, but a submarine, a boat that looks like that, a science lab where you could basically like smash particles together. Dude, telling you, man, if there's anything to go.
If you start smashing particles together on the yacht while we're out in the ocean and we end up having some kind of a Philadelphia experiment sort of thing happen,
You'll know that we've been successful when MH370 flies over by Scott. So that's where
totally be a problem. I don't know if I want to be dragged into those kind of shenanigans, Kev. So we're just going to keep you out of the particle accelerator room.
Look at this, guys. The yacht is described as being capable of voyaging to the ends of the Earth with the ability to reach the Arctic and the South Pole. And what's happened, Joe? I forgot about this one. Jupiter. What the heck's been going on here, dude?
An amateur astronomer.
Yeah, I've seen that
right.
video on
An
this.
amateur astronomer. Let me say it one more time.
No NASA.
That's right. An amateur astronomer caught a bright flash. It says here, caught something spectacular with a backyard telescope Wednesday when he recorded a bright flash on the surface of Jupiter. The biggest planet in the solar system routinely delivers stunning images like those snapped by NASA and their Juno spacecraft. but the unexpected flash has astronomers excited at the possibility of a meteor impact. This flash, by the way, was the size of an Earth. So
yeah, it's significant, dude.
now you can fit 3 Earths inside the Great Red Spot.
Yeah.
So that just gives you an idea of the size of Jupiter. But yeah, the flash itself was obviously put out a ton of energy because, like I said, that flash was the size of a planet.
Is it just me that finds it interesting? It's at that same line of longitude. And when the reason I bring that up is it's deep woo because it's the same kind of line north and south. If
it's like
19.5, you find the pyramid. It's that 19.5. It's some kind of sweet spot on the planet. If you think of the geometry, the geometry and where the points of the star inside the Earth would line up to, that's one of the major ones. Again, it's just an observation, but we're almost out of time, folks, and this has been a world first for the Woo Crew. You like that, guys? Come on,
I like it.
We don't get the chance to say that often, right? A world first. We're on TFR, and we've been simulcasting on YouTube. Yeah, it's been different. It's been hard to watch both chats. It's been hard to get all the stories up. But I tell you what, all of you out there have been very patient with us. We've had an absolute blast on Freaky, as per usual. We should be back over the weekend, and I say should be because tomorrow I have a wedding. Yeah, and I'm not wearing a kilt.
Hey, no pressure.
No kilts, so no ladies. You won't see Kevin a kilt. Not yet. You have to pay special money for Kevin a kilt.
Hey, that's a great show name. Maybe we should do that from now on.
Or Kevin a kilt. I think one night very soon, though, we're going to get alcohol and we're going to take a shot. We're going to play a drinking game with the audience.
Ouch.
Yes, we're just going to get messy. Yeah, that's an idea that's forming in my mind. But big thank you to everyone at tfrlive.com. Brent Phillips coming up after Brent Thomas. Brent Phillips? Who's Brent Phillips? Paranormal Portal on the way. Don't go anywhere. Wherever you are, make a TFR. Can't hear me. You see, that's what happens when sometimes the music's on, guys. So now we get to say another cheerio to the YouTube family, you see.
There we go. Now it's better.
Is that you happy now, Joe?
Yes.
Are you on your, is this like your stomping ground now?
Yes, now we're happy.
And
so
not,
with that shit, it's time to go bye-bye.
Not one bit of shite music throughout the live stream.
No shite music. Poo-poo-pa-doopy.
No, but thanks for hanging, everyone. We've got, usually comes on before uni at the weekends, 90-minute shows on a Saturday and Sunday. Yep, it's usually, we start at 1, so that's 5 p.m. on the West Coast and 8 p.m. on the East Coast for the live streams, yes. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be doing this more often. I'll be back with these crazy guys on Sunday, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But until then, keep it real. Check out Unirock. Go and check out TFR. And more importantly, leave a like, share the video, and leave a comment, even if it's abusive. As long as the algorithm sees that you're participating, it likes that. So we are out of here, gents. Any wise last words, Joe? You're looking very studious there. No, you've just put your crazy face on. Scott Lopez, you must have some wisdom to take us out the door.
No,
not
really. No great wisdom. Just shout out to everybody out there on YouTube. That this was pretty interesting doing the whole simulcast situation. We might have to do it more often. But yeah, I shall catch you guys possibly on Sunday, depending on what goes on with your wedding shenanigans.
Kristen would pay money to see me in a kilt. You know, that can be arranged. I'm only joking, folks. We are out of here. We will see you over the weekend. Bye-bye.